Yeah, that's heavy.
That's my wife. Bald spot shining on the video, babe. Why do you have the back of your head facing the camera? When I was sitting over where Spence was.
Okay, you may have to scoot in a little bit there, Lance, but let's see.
This way?
I'll move
Yeah,
just
towards,
Was there?
just a hair.
Are we live?
We're live.
All right, y'all, everybody, please just take 15 seconds and share the video. Share the video.
All right, let me.
What are we on? We on your page?
We're on mine. We're on Ouachita Parents' Choice. We're on some others around the state as well.
Why is Facebook promoting Beyonce to me when I was just doing screenshots to show that she was on the Epstein airplane?
Just to
Why
throw
is
it in your
Facebook
face.
promoting Beyonce to me when I was just,
All right.
this is not what I want. That's not what I want to
So
see.
that's what you are. That's what the
No, why do you
everybody's
have
seeing right there.
Nice.
Okay.
Good deal.
Hello, Louisiana, Northeast Louisiana, and a lot of Louisiana, as a lot of you will be seeing this over the next 3 or 4 days. We're coming to you, and we're doing a round table. We're going to do a recap of last week's Health and Welfare Committee meeting that took place, and also the school board meeting that took place in Ouachita Parish today. And then we're going to cover some things just around Ouachita Parish, the state, and then we're going to touch base on vaccinations, shots, and what we're predicting, what we're seeing, and what we're hearing is going to take place shortly after Christmas break, the spring, first part of next year. I also want to let you know that the 1st of January, we're going to be doing a study over the next couple of weeks, and I don't know if you've heard or seen, but there's two statues that have showed up in the United States, and I'm hearing from at the UN building, and one is a beast and one is a dragon, and these correlate, from my understanding, or we're going to do some studying to see how they correlate with the Word of God. And we're going to come back to you the first week of January, and we're gonna bring everything that we find, and we're going to wrap it up and bring it to you. And because what is taking place 100% in the past year and a half, and more so now, so organized, is the beast system. That is exactly what we're seeing. That's what we're combating. That's what's taking place. We're there. The Word of God is being fulfilled every day, right here, as we can see. So right now, we're going to go ahead and just open this up to the round table, and we've got several guests with us here. Byron was not able to make it, but we've got some fill-ins. So we're going to go ahead and jump in, and we're going to cover the school board recap for today. Then we're going to cover some of the health and welfare, and then we'll go into the rest of the stuff with vaccinations. All right. Tiffany, so you opened up today, or confronted the school board today,
Put them on notice.
and you put them on notice. I don't know if they took it
I don't
as a
think I
notice.
don't know if they knew that they were being
No, that
noticed.
was great, though.
Yeah.
They had no idea.
I don't think they
They'll need
realized.
Elmer to explain it to them.
Well,
I think Elmer kind of had an idea.
well,
if
and you
anybody did, it was
emailed Elmer as well, so
Yeah.
he's the
Well-
school board attorney.
Yeah. And Tiffany did a great job. It's the only way she was going to be able. That was a perfect one to get in there because we got the rules we got to follow
Yeah.
to get in there. So that's
So
perfect.
will you open up and just let us know what you did with the school board, and let the constituents of Ouachita Parish and Louisiana know what we've done with the school board today and what we're finding out whenever it comes to your research.
Yeah, so basically what my goal for today was to just educate the board members, specifically to remind the elected officials or people that handle the monies and deal with liability and damages and things of such, that they have bonds, surety bonds that they have to carry. There's a lot of different types, so what I did is I tried to remind them of that, and also educate them on the process of when claims are made, why claims are made or complaints are made, that it would strictly go to the insurer, the bond insurer, that it would, you know, this is a big deal because if the bond is for 20 grand, but one parent as an individual comes forward with medical damages, psychological damage, emotional damage, bankruptcy damage, they get to determine their monetary amount that they believe per the claim form from the bond agent, insurer, the insurance company. They get to decide what their damages are worth. And two things can happen. The bond insurer can go to the, you know, school board member, the president, the treasurer, which is the superintendent, and say, hey, your bond is only at 50 grand, so we'll do this much, you know, but then you're personally liable for the rest of it. So that means that their job, like their livelihood, their home, everything is at stake at that point. The other thing is that the bond insurer can drop them.
That's right.
Now, if that happens, in order for them to keep their title, their seat in which they were elected to be in or hired to be in for the superintendent, they have to carry a surety bond. They have to carry a specific type, an oath of honesty. It's attached to their oath that is submitted to the Secretary of State, that is on the registrars, either with the clerk of courts, depending on the municipality, you know, population of the area and everything. So, losing my train of thought, but,
No,
so basically I wanted to remind them and educate them, because, and like I told them in the meeting, that a lot of times you are put in place because you appeal to traditional ways.
Right.
So, like, we've always done it this way, don't ask questions, you got to have this bond because this is just how this goes. And they have no reason, they have no idea why they have the bond. I didn't know why people carry bonds.
Sure.
Or surety bonds or anything. Property bonds is a little, I mean, that's different than what I, you know, tried to bring forward to them today. And this is serious.
And that's basically what the bond is for them to faithfully withhold their office and stay within constitutional means as well.
It is the way.
That's right.
Federally, this goes from school board members, police officers, this is for the governor, this is for all your representatives, even attorneys. Their attorney has, you know, I mean, we're looking at bar grievances, we're looking at, even he has to carry liability bonds and surety bonds. So
I think I'd like to point out what makes it such a big deal is it's not just one person making a claim.
Right.
It's several.
oh, it's going to
So,
be.
so what kind of claims,
Yeah.
Tiffany, are we looking at that we know that is coming forth right now? So is it damages to students that's because of what's taking place, vaccinations, or is it mask? What's some?
For our district right now, particularly Ouachita Parish, the complaints that are going to be filed with their bond agent or the insurer is going to be around the it's going to be around the psychological, the emotional damages. It's going to be around the health damages that these parents have attended the school board meetings over and over. They've had private meetings with the superintendent. They've had private meetings with their principals, like, this is what's happening to my child. This is the doctor's excuse. This is the specialist note exempting them from or opting them out of masking, and they just didn't care. And if you remember, Coker actually said in the meeting, he says, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
That's not going to work. Is it?
That is not
It's not
okay.
gonna-
Because now it's going to cost him. It's going to cost. Well, who can it cost?
Well, for him, I believe he's already at the end. I mean, he's looking at retiring and
Well,
everything.
that's the question
so.
that I've got. Is he still an elected official by the board, or is he out of office and he's just sitting in there because he hadn't been challenged? Or should everything that's taken place since January, because since July, his term ended in July, should everything be null and void?
It kind of reminds me of our administration right now. Like, we have a poser in position that really is just there for like a dog and pony show. And, you know, we really have to fact check ourselves and, you know, get the in writing, like that this is what's going on. But I can tell you Roxy is the one that you're going to want to answer that question, because she's spoken to several board members that were completely unaware of the policy that even allowed for that to happen.
So they don't even
They're
know.
unaware of everything.
Okay.
I mean, they really are.
They really are.
Like legitimately.
Yeah,
Yeah, not just
they
putting
really,
on.
they
No,
really
they
do
really
not
don't.
understand.
They really don't.
But I don't think it was until Tiffany started showing up, and then until Michael started showing up, and I started showing up, Lance started showing up, that some of these things were brought to their attention in a very
It's very embarrassing because at the school board meeting, they don't know what's going on. The only one that knows
Well, they
what's
didn't even
going
know how to
on
have a
is the
meeting.
attorney. The attorney is constantly in the ear of Jerry Hicks, which is the
That's
president.
disgusting. huh?
Absolutely.
It really
The-
is.
yeah.
No, really, he's in the ear of the superintendent. He's
Right.
just having to help
The
Jerry,
president. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
they didn't
do
even
the
know how to
flow
do
correctly
proper,
because,
Because they're breaking the law.
community-
They were breaking the law every school
meeting.
board meeting.
Every
Every
meeting.
meeting.
and that was, yeah, and I did the public meeting law violations through AG Landry's office, and you know, they ended up having to redo a meeting because of the violations, and then
Yeah,
know,
and you see how they do it
found that
now.
my claim and my complaint was just, and all, you know, one way that they are doing their record keeping is the YouTube lives. So
Right.
whenever you ask for something to be put on record, I mean, what does that actually mean? Is it just that you're on the live video and they can come back and
They can
pull
use
it
live
later?
video. Yeah, they can use live video.
Because, you know, in the transcripts of their minutes, I have not been able to witness anything where I or Jill Hines from Health Freedom LA or the RN that came and spoke at the last meeting, I don't remember anything saying Health Freedom LA co-director said this on record.
Okay.
So, I
And
mean,
then where do
there's
they
a
where do
lot.
they get the 3 minutes thing? Where is that?
That is the Robert's Rule of Law, and
Okay.
that is, it's pretty much an adopted policy across the state. Like, that's just how they do.
That's how it is on the books. There's a law.
Oh yeah.
I want to touch base on something that took place. So what was it, 3 or 4 months ago, it was announced that there's going to be a vote, and there's going to have to be a vote, a special election for $20 million extra before the Sterlington District School, that hasn't been completed, and that they were going to need the funds to finish the school because of COVID pricing. Everything was going to be, they needed $20 more million, not 19,
Not 19.
not 16.3.
No.
They needed $20 million.
Yeah.
So anyway, that went up for vote this past weekend. It passed. So everybody in East Ouachita that did go vote, I would be, I'd like to know the amount of people that voted, and I'm guilty because I'm thinking it's like the 2nd or 3rd of December here, because I've been running
I'd be
my
curious
tail
how
off for
it
2
was
weeks.
how
so I
it
didn't
was
vote.
worded. I'd be real
Yeah.
curious of how they phrased it on the ballot, because you know how they do. They phrase it where it's like,
Makes it
do
sound
you?
good.
Yeah. Well, do you want to help?
Do you wanna have a
your
nicer
kids get a
place
better
over here?
education?
It's for the
But
kids.
Louisiana, Ouachita Parish, here's what happened. It passed, and then we're sitting in the school board meeting today, and this is what is said. Said, okay, so the 20 million tax on you and I is, it got passed for $20 million. And if we need it, then it will be available.
How
Yeah.
does that work?
If it's needed.
If it's needed.
So we just,
So we didn't even need it.
So basically, we just padded it.
so
Mm-hmm.
they've gotten $76 million in ESSER funds. They've got a budget of, we don't, Roxy will know.
I don't know.
the
They were
numbers.
already
However
approved for 42.
a million.
Yeah.
And so now they got another $20 million. So we're over $100 million here that they've got their hands, and they got the big cookie jar, and they're
So-
constantly grabbing at that. They
Yeah,
are
they-
enjoying that at these meetings, that cookie jar.
Well, I wonder. This is
They
what
spent
do.
$750,000 on Chromebook cases.
Why the teachers not got a raise?
They did get a
Yeah, it was like an
bonus
extra
or
It was
something,
50,
but
30
it
check
was
or
was
something.
$1,500.
But they
It's
have to wait
1,500.
until March to receive it.
Oh, that's so
What
sad.
happens to all the ones that's quit in that time?
They would have to do an appeal or some type of grievance to be able to do that. And a lot of people don't know that they can do that. But
Teachers, staffing, Tiffany, let's talk to them real quick, because you're being forced to do things, and we listened to a podcast today, and what is the benefit of you being forced to be vaccinated, masked, and all of this stuff? Are they guaranteeing you staff members, you teachers, you educators, are they giving you, okay, we're gonna
Social contract.
a social contact for 20 years, that we're gonna pay you X amount of dollars, and we can't terminate you because you're going and getting this shot that is a study
Right.
at best, and
You
so
participate in a medical
yeah.
study.
If you die, then we'll continue to pay your family for the next 10 years. Are you getting anything out of this? Absolutely not. Why are you going to get the shots? Why are you wearing masks?
Right. If you do it, you can undo it, and there's no guarantee that you don't walk into work the next day and they say your position's been eliminated. You have no.
There
So,
you
well,
are.
hang on,
And-
wait, I
and
got
you-
the shot.
Yep. And you have it for life.
Aaron, can you go on and share that podcast to this stream? I'm sorry, it's a Spotify. Can you share it to the stream? And everyone, you will want to listen to this. It's about 2.5 hours long, but you're going
You
want
need to hear it.
You need to hear this. This is
Dr. Peter McCullough.
McCullough, and his name is out there. Listen, he is a renowned doctor. He's
known for being an expert in PCR testing. So he was actually one of the panelists that we were going to have at our town hall. But with some of the sensitive research he was doing at the time, he was not able to be live or in attendance because of the sensitivity of the things that he was under microscopes with. So,
Yeah.
but
So he just went on the Joe Rogan show,
Hmm.
and he done an interview for 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours and 50 minutes, something like that. And it's all out there. He's put it all out there. He is like he knows the ins and outs of everything when it comes to this PCR testing and the COVID vaccination. It's not a vaccination shot.
Well, he's a leading epidemiologist.
That's right.
He's published more papers than anybody. He's published
He's
650.
he's younger and still put out more.
Right. He put on 650 some odd published papers that he's done himself.
That's right.
I mean, he's all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is.
That's right.
He spoke at he spoke at the event in Dallas too.
That's right.
This weekend.
That's right.
Which was a great event. If y'all ever get a chance to see that, I'll share the link on there too. But that was excellent. But I mean, that's what this guy, McCullough. I mean, early on, he had direct line to the White House
Mhm.
when they were putting out. We were talking about this earlier. We were talking about the direct line to Dr. Scott Atlas,
Right.
which is Trump's right hand man,
Right.
right? So, at the very beginning, they're trying to pump hydroxychloroquine. Okay, they're trying to get early treatment, and that's what they've been doing this whole. That's what they've been trying to hide from the public this whole time, is trying to get away from early treatment. They want you in the hospital
That's right.
so they can bill you and bury you.
Well, so they
It's-
kill you, yeah.
It's all about the money. And listen, you will find out on this Spotify when you listen to it that the oxychloroquine was 85%. If they started on you early enough, it was the antidote. This disease, this COVID-19, was created in a lab in Wuhan, China. It was not just China that was involved; it was the world that was involved in this.
All the world leaders.
This was
This was
an
truly
attack.
a pandemic.
Yes. that was planned, and it was even a part of testing with John Hopkins
Early on.
Institute
2017.
in 2017, but it wasn't supposed to be released until 2025. But because of Trump, 4 years, they have to catch everything up 4 years, so they had to release it.
Well, and then it just so happened to the second largest producer of hydroxychloroquine, the factory that produces hydroxychloroquine, just happens to be hit by what, militia, I guess you would
No,
call
it was
it.
something like that. It was like a.
Or it was
Totally destroyed it.
Yeah,
it was
but
it was burned down. It was burned down. The
It was
second largest factory.
Is that Tibet? Was that in Tibet?
It was in,
Starts with a T.
Tibet.
Yeah.
It was Tibet.
Asia or
was
India,
Tibet. Yeah,
and
yeah.
so
Tibet.
they went in, and as soon as Trump starts saying, "Hey, this is the stuff," that's whenever everybody went on high alert. Let's get rid of this stuff. They started burning down the fields that they make the drug from.
Sure.
And
Well,
they're having
what-
mass fires here in the country to burn all this stuff
And when
down.
what, as soon as it started coming out with the hydroxychloroquine, now we know we have something even better than that,
Yeah.
which is ivermectin. Okay,
Right.
but as soon as hydroxychloroquine started getting out there, what did they do to the pharmacists?
Yeah.
Okay, well they shut
Yeah.
the pharmacists down. What did they do start doing to the doctors? Okay,
oh,
well-
and they were stockpiling
So
it
this-
too.
that's
and
what's
not
frustrating.
releasing the stockpile.
Well, how many doctors is in the United States? Was it 5 million? They say it on this podcast.
A million doctors,
A million?
only 500. That,
Only
They know, yeah.
500
Yeah,
doctors
they're
are
on
in
board.
on this, but they are running this show.
Yep.
They are controlling this, and for the most part, doctors. They say that the doctors are dumber to this than the nurses,
Yep.
well, look,
because the doctors are
They-
just.
they don't know because look, like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Okay, this is purely based on protocol, and it comes down from they are literally taking instruction from the
From
CDC,
CDC.
Yeah.
CDC, and the NIH.
And it's their
okay?
guidelines. It's what they've been
And-
taught,
that's
medically
right.
trained.
And the FDA.
It's how we've trained our medical care professionals to look at
That's
our
right.
citizens and it's how we've been trained to see each other as a society.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all based on protocol. It has
Just
nothing.
following-
It has nothing to do.
well, what's the guy's name? What's the guy's name? The doctor's name that was at the health.
At our town
Yeah.
hall,
Oh, Dr. Paul?
Dr.
Dr. Paul Alexander.
Paul
Okay, Dr.
Alexander?
Paul.
Yeah.
So you got Dr. Paul Alexander. We listen to him,
He's great.
and then you got Dr. McCullough, right?
Okay.
So anybody with a lick of sense
Yeah.
that listens to these two guys,
Yeah.
how can we be in this situation? I mean, how could we be in this situation if it was not, if somebody didn't want us to be in this situation? Because you listen to those two guys, first of all, the first thing you realize is these guys are
Wow.
geniuses.
Yeah, like,
I
wow.
mean,
Yeah.
hands down,
I know
no
it. I
question,
know it.
these guys know their stuff.
Yeah.
And they're telling us what you are doing is the exact opposite of what you should be doing.
Yeah,
But we're doing, it's like, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it harder.
Yeah.
We're going to do it more.
We're gonna slam it. We're gonna push it. We're gonna push it. You're not gonna have 2 shots. You're gonna have 3 shots. You're gonna have 4
4
shots.
shots.
Then you're not. Then the 4 shot. After the 4th shot, you're gonna have to start the cycle all over again.
Right. Well, and Joe asked him, said, what was the mask for? And he said, the mask was a total waste of time, but all it's basically was for is conditioning.
That's right.
That's it.
Conditioning, that's
It was a placeholder until.
And so we go to school board meetings,
There's
everything
great
else, we see
fear.
people that walk in without a mask, but they put on a mask and they've got it
On
down
their
here and all this
on their
crazy
neck,
stuff.
on their chin,
And we even had a school board member that still puts on he won't put on a mask until the cameras come on.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And then he puts on the mask.
What a fool!
Well,
What a
I was,
fool.
you know, somebody said over,
Doctor.
I think Byron said over Thanksgiving, you know, he thought we would be, or not necessarily we, but anybody who has been these conspiracy theory, whatever, would be asked at Thanksgiving, you know, hey, you know what, you're right, things are coming out, what should we do? But what I found is people are actually digging in harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that people aren't necessarily coming around. A lot of them are digging in harder. And then I was at Sam's today, and I walked into Sam's, and when I tell you, I don't know, 90% of the people in there were wearing masks.
Really?
Oh my
And they were
gosh.
spraying the buggies. The girl had, you know, I don't know what it was, alcohol,
Right.
bleach, whatever. She's spraying the buggies as they come in, and
What-
everybody had a mask on, and I'm like, we're going backwards here.
And what have we learned too since very day one is that you can't catch this off touching something.
Right.
It will not. You cannot spread this off something else.
Well, and
It-
what was interesting, Dr. what's his name, McCullough?
Yeah.
McCullough? Yeah.
He tells how to keep it if you're out during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
while
was
you
pretty
come
brilliant.
home,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you mix certain parts, and I'm
that's-
not going to tell you because I want you to go
Yeah,
and
you
watch
need
it.
to watch it.
But you mix certain parts of. You can use bleach, but
Hydrogen peroxide.
He called it.
Oh,
but
and-
there's
and,
what they rub you down for
Yeah.
before surgery.
Betadine.
Betadine,
Iodine.
iodine, and so you mix a certain part to that
With
to
water.
water.
Yep.
You gargle it,
Yep.
or actually you snort it,
Yep.
and you let it go to your throat. You gargle it, spit it
Yeah,
out.
like with a
and
neti
it's
pot.
100% effective on killing COVID virus for being out the day. You
Right.
come home and you do that, then gargle some soap to get the taste
Yep.
out, and you're done.
But we've had it on our kitchen
100%.
sink. We've had it on our bathroom sink when my wife started making it about a year ago. So we've been doing that just from him a year ago. He told us that, and that's where she got it. And you can even use it. Like if you don't want to put it in your nostrils, you
Yeah.
can just gargle it.
Gargle it?
Yep, just gargle it. Just
So-
a certain part, but listen to it because it'll tell you what the part.
The part,
Yeah, listen to it.
one
make
part,
them
two
listen
part,
to it. Yep.
however many parts
Yeah.
water. So that is that video. Who found that? I think you sent it to me.
You said, I think Darren put it on Facebook.
What, the
McCullough?
the Rogan interview?
That's all over.
Yeah, I was
Telegram.
waiting since Jill Hines posted the photo of them. I've been waiting, and I was worried that Spotify had censored it. That's what I was thinking because
Right.
when I don't know what day he was on. Say he was on Tuesday. They had the show from Monday and they had the show from Wednesday, but his show was missing in the middle, and I was thinking, man, they censored it. But he even says in the interview, he said, you know, if this was on YouTube, it would be taken down immediately.
Well, here is what was very interesting and alarming to me. Australia really got hit, and they got screwed over real bad
Oh, yeah.
to this. The first vaccine that came out for Australia, everyone became HIV positive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
And they thought we were crazy before we were talking
Yeah.
about that too. Now, that's kind of a fine line. Okay.
Well, they didn't have
Right.
HIV,
Right.
But they
So
tested
tested
positive.
positive
at least that
for
they're
it.
telling you they didn't have HIV, but they're
Exactly.
what do they say? Once you learn the truth, it'll put 90% of the people in the hospital, right?
That's right.
Once they start learning. So, what have we learned from Australia? What's going on in Australia right now?
I mean, you got in camps, and kids have been moved out of private or public schools into the camps, and mass vaccinations for them. And I mean, but at the same time, you've got a
Pure
a res-
tyranny.
you
But what
got a
they, but they are,
resilience rising
they
up
are
against
they are
it.
starting out. They've got millions of people in the streets as we speak right now.
I'm ready for America to get there.
I'm ready to. You know, but
Because the sooner that happens, we can put at bay some of this stuff. And I'm not saying go crazy, but we've got John Bell Edwards, and jumping back to the health and welfare reform from last week, the committee, it got turned down 13-2.
13-2.
But now he's coming out and he's saying, "Oh, I'm bypassing
Yeah, he
it.
doesn't wanna-
I'm going to
yeah,
do
that's
it."
right.
Yeah, and it was
That's
a
gonna-
bipartisan. It was a bipartisan vote, Democrat and Republican, 13-2. I don't know what the percentages is, but I mean that's like over 90%. You know, like no, we don't want to do this, and he's like, we don't care.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it anyway.
Since when is that? Since when does that work? When is that? Isn't that like politics falling through? Isn't that the
He
whole
knows-
reason we vote?
Right? Yeah, you're supposed to be represented.
Well, there is no more representation for the people. We
Yeah.
the people have to rise up.
we
It's
have
time
to.
for
It's about
it's
mass.
time for a
Yes,
revolution.
you're right. You're right.
It's time for
And,
a
and
revolution.
don't let them tell you. You know, you hear a lot of things right now too. Is like, oh, they're trying to push us into a civil war. It's not going to be a civil war. It's going to be a revolution.
That's right.
Because it's 90% us against the government. It's not about white or black.
That's
It's
right.
not about any of that. It's not about religion. And what we're finding out is, guess what? We're all on the same team.
That's right.
Right? We're all for freedom, right?
Once you differentiate because what the government's trying to say
They
is
wanna put you against each
vaccinated
other.
against
right.
unvaccinated, mask against unmasked. They're trying. It's the same thing. Segregation, it's racism,
Well,
it's everything they've
yeah.
always pushed.
It's divide and conquer.
Once we get past the masking of all of that, and we say, "Hey,
Right.
you can go get your vaccination," well, I don't care.
That's right.
But we all have to come in together for the agreement of freedom.
Sure.
And they can't take our rights and liberties away from us. Once we say, "Hey, you're right, that's happening," then we're getting together.
That's it.
And that's when it becomes us. And there's people in the federal government. There's vets. There's military personnel right now, and they're not liking what's taking place.
No.
There's police officers that their overseers and mayors may be 100% for what the government's doing, but these guys aren't in line with what's going on.
And we know here locally, what we found out locally is if they tried to push them out, they would not have a police force here.
Right.
And they know that.
That's right.
Okay. So at least we're in an area where you have some like-minded, some smart, at least grounded individuals in this, and I don't know.
Not
if
in
they-
leadership so much.
No, not
but-
so much, but you know how they got there, okay?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about with the school board too, But until the people come together, and what we're working on too, and we're gonna announce that too in mid-January, our first meeting that we're gonna have. All right, and we're gonna probably announce that probably next week and how we're gonna do that. But we're trying to bring people together, okay? For one, that we can support one another,
Right.
okay? And we've got so many little groups all over the place, right?
A lot
And
of
we're all-
lot of brave hearts.
a lot of people that are braved up. And you got plenty of groups of 20,
Yeah.
But if all those groups come together, just think what we could accomplish.
That's right. So,
And it's about revolution. I mean, it's time.
It
You know?
is, especially with what is about to come to. Let's talk about that. And I know we're kind of all over the place. I know Tiffany and want to get Spence in here, but what do we foresee taking place? Because I'm ready for us to start getting things wrong. I'm ready for these leaders and these representatives to start proving us wrong rather than us proving them right. Because every time we prove them right, it's in a very bad way, a very
Yes.
negative way. And so, is there a prediction where these representatives start proving us wrong and they start turning this, or are we going to continue in this mark of the beast system where it continues and there's no let up? It's just going to, because I believe Satan's in full, he's in full rampant control right now. He's running with this. And as even this doctor, I don't know where he stands spiritually or anything in his Christian beliefs, but he's even talking about pastors. He's talking about the pastors of the large churches from Joel Osteen and all these guys.
What do you say? They're almost like under a spell, right?
They're under a
And what
spell.
do you always say? What's your term?
They are under. They're under this psychosis of the mark of the beast system.
Yeah,
They're under
that's
this
right.
beast
That's right.
system
Mhm.
that
Antichrist.
they don't even realize it. And this is where the Word of God, where the Bible says that eyes will be blinded, that there's a season, and we're in that time that, we haven't seen any pastors. If this would have been taking place, if you would have had two beast systems to show up on the grounds of the United States back 30 years ago, whenever you had pastors like Franklin, Billy Graham, if you had just several of the predominant pastors and evangelists of that time, they would have been, hey, this is no, this can't happen. David Wilkerson, all these guys,
Right.
listen, this is Revelation. This is what's happening. This is the Bible. We don't have those pastors. We don't have those evangelists. We're not seeing anybody hitting the streets. We're not seeing anybody doing these kind of sit downs and saying, hey,
They did
Wake up.
completely the opposite.
That's
They
right.
calmed down immediately.
Right.
Very, very, very frustrating.
Did
I was-
you ever
pastors,
think we
it's
would see
time
that?
to get out of the four walls of the church. The real church is outside of those four walls. There's a lot of people that has left the churches because you shut them down over COVID, and you showed them that it wasn't so important to bring fear because of fear to stay at home. So they're staying at home. They're not in the churches now. Sure, there's some there, but for the most part, they're not there. And if they are, it's a social club. You need to get away from your social club. Real revelation is taking place. Biblical truth is taking place right now. What are you doing to bring end time revival to take place? That's what our job is, to awaken people, and it's
time to
scary.
get out of
As
their
long
comfort
as
zone,
they
man.
can listen, as long as they can pass the plate through PayPal
That's
or
right.
Cash App or Venmo.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I never thought, you're right, Aaron. I never thought it was that bad until I started seeing COVID shot centers in their parking lots. When they had the tents in and you could drive through the church and get a shot in your arm.
How about it being inside the foyer of the church?
Inside the church?
Inside.
Yeah, what was
Those-
it?
those
Fair
guys-
Park?
The
shit.
holy,
That-
supposed to be the holy temple of the Lord for that congregation.
What, Fair
And-
Park
and as
did
Christians,
one?
right?
Was it Fair Park that did one? I'm sorry, we
probably
may
got
have some
some-
members of these
they probably got
churches,
some
it's
money.
all right.
but
But as Christians, we're not, we're always saying, turn the other cheek or not supposed to say anything too. But you could literally say those people are not grounded in the Spirit if they are letting that in their church.
Maybe that wasn't explained what it is. By
That's
now,
their
maybe
fault.
they're just really confused
okay,
on what
what
exactly
if
it is.
what
Yeah,
if you
well-
couldn't go? What if you couldn't walk into Walmart right now across the street? What if you couldn't walk in unless you had a stamp on your hand or on your forehead? I'm telling you, the lines, even for these churches, from people from these churches, would be lined up from here to Shreveport because they would get that mark in order to get into Walmart.
There would be
That way they can
sacrificial
go.
lambs that would willingly do it for the congregation just to have access to
To
those
those commodities.
commodities.
I don't know what this
You're
shot
right.
is, but we know it's not a vaccination.
That's right.
We know it's not, and if it's not
Well,
a vaccination, what is it other than conditioning and the beast system to get you so watered down and milked down so whenever the beast system comes in, it's
You
just
don't
the
know what-
next
yeah.
thing you go and get to be able
Yeah,
to buy
you
and
just don't know
sell. Or,
what's going on.
I'm
wanna
gonna
hear
give
what
you
the
a
shot is?
word.
It's 2 minutes long. You want to hear it real quick?
yeah.
Let's tell you what this shot is.
A natural doctor, and I have 1,600 patients. Many are vaccinated. Just to give you a little bit of backstory about my credibility. What I've seen so far and what I've learned is all information from physicians, medical physicians, natural physicians, and also immunization of virology doctors, things like that, and then also nurses. So what I'm about to share with you is the first vaccine, the second vaccine, and then the boosters and what it does to your body. The first vaccine, as it goes into your body, it has a small amount of saline and then a bunch of ingredients that are very catastrophic to your cellular system. What that does to your immune system, which is your bone marrow, your thymus gland, your spleen, and all other systems associated with your immune system, it decreases the ability to produce white blood cells by 50% from your first vaccine. Then 8 weeks later, which is white blood cell reproductive system, so your ability to make another generation of white blood cells is 8 weeks. That's why they set it up 8 weeks later to hit it again. So you hit the white blood cell ability while it's down. So now what you do is now they decrease the saline in the second one and they increase the harmful ingredients. So now you have a shift in the ingredients. So they decrease the saline and increase. So now there's a shift. And then what they do is that second dose attacks your ability to make white blood cells by an additional 25%. So now you only have white blood cell ability, like the ability to make white blood cells functioning at 25%. So you just wiped out 75% of your military and the ability to make that military. Then what they do is they set in the booster. The booster has 81 strands of foreign bacteria that your cells have never come across, so you don't have the antibodies to fight it, but you only have 25% of your white blood cell production to be able to fight it, so it's a losing battle. So then what starts to happen is you start to get chronic inflammation that goes to the areas that you had predisposition. So if you are someone that has gut health issues, that's your area that it's going to focus on, and you're going to have inflammation in the gut health. If it's respiratory, if you have tumor or cancer, or if you have say endometriosis, or you have a skin condition, whatever that is, it's going to inflame that area, because now the body has hit the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, and the body is in a chronic inflammatory state with a low immunity and a low immune response. Then you get your second booster. What the second booster has is it has 8 strands of HIV. And now what that does is it completely shuts off your ability to make white blood cells. And if you go...
So you can never get healthy once
That's
you get the HIV, because there's no cure for HIV.
That's right.
Okay. There's proof of this right this second. Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring Roxy in. But
Okay,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. You bring him right now?
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and finish?
Yeah, go.
All right,
Yeah.
so, right now, yesterday, Denmark leading medical publication came out that says, okay, we got this Omicron, right?
Hey there. I'm sorry. Lance is talking. He's going to finish up, and
10
then
seconds.
you can sit in and listen, and we'll go ahead and let you go on.
So leading publication, all right, this was yesterday, Omicron, okay, the
Yeah.
new variant, right? From ages 19 to 40, okay, are the only people that are so, quote unquote, catching the Omicron variant, okay?
What ages?
Ages
19
19
to
to 40, okay? 73% of those patients that have supposedly caught this, okay, or has been double vaccinated or have at least 2 shots, okay? We know for a fact now that every time they ran around the boosters, when did we have an increase
Yeah.
of some of the
Whenever they
variant,
got a
right?
shot.
Who are the people that aren't getting sick?
The people that didn't get a shot.
Okay,
Vaccinated.
why are we not getting sick?
Because, well, it's going to twist. Their narrative's going to twist, and we're going to be the reason for
Yeah.
why they're
Yeah,
getting
we're
Yeah,
sick.
but it's obvious now, right?
Our bodies are made
To anybody
to
with common
fix
sense, yes.
themselves.
That's right.
And to
Right.
the immune system.
That's right.
So the immune system, these shots are just tearing down the immune system. Because the first one I had heard was the first shot would tear it down 33%, about 30 to 33%.
That's right.
Second shot would come in and knock it another 30%. And then you get the booster shot, and it would wipe out the rest of your immune system. And if
That's
you
right.
got anything from the ages of 15 years old at the time, 15 years old on up, if anybody got anything equivalent of the chicken pox, they would die.
So
Yeah.
what has a pharmaceutical company done just done? They just got 40% of the population to be a lifetime customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now they're not going to be able to do
right.
anything without this booster.
Well, it's all free right now, but when
Yeah.
does
When
it
they
become
charge.
the World Games,
That's right.
and Hunger Games,
Right.
and
Right.
you got to chase after it, and you
I know.
got to...
You got to comply to every single thing that comes along, or else you don't get
Don't
your
get
shot.
your shot.
Yeah.
And that's why we're
so you don't
organizing
buy
right
you
now.
the next 3 months
That's
of
right.
life.
That's right.
Hey, Roxy.
What's going on, Roxy?
Roxy is gonna. She's coming in, and she was at the school board meeting today, and she's got some things she's gonna cover, and I'm gonna let her correlate with Tiffany, and so we're just gonna have group discussion. Roxy was not able to be here, but she is here on live stream and on the phone, so we got her live. So Roxy, go ahead.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
We got you.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So I just wanted to point out that I was going to speak today underneath the agenda item number 3. However, before the meeting actually adjourned, they deleted that. And the reason why I was going to speak is because I was actually going to give the board the benefit of the doubt last night. As Tiffany pointed out on October 19th meeting, there was
Hey,
some
Roxy, I'm
violations.
gonna stop you for 1 second. What was Title III? What was that? Or the
The approval of
Policies under consideration for the board to considerate.
okay.
So as Tiffany said earlier, on the October 19th meeting, there were some violations due to public open meeting laws. So November the 9th meeting was actually a redo of the October 19th meeting. Therefore, there was 14 total policies that they were considering to adopt.
Yeah.
And, there were so many citizens there, and majority of them are actually in District C. So when they started talking about the policies, they asked for the policies to be halted on because it was not transparent to the public, and the public needs to be very educated on the policies that they set forward. However, they went ahead and adopted those 14 policies. Which one of them that sticks out to me is curriculum, and CRT is coming in hot and heavy, and if I'm not mistaken, it will be here in 2023 to 2024. And with sexualization books that's already in the libraries and that is already sprinkled out through the curriculum, like, parents and the whole community needs to be involved. However, they do not want the community's input unless it benefits them, just like you were talking about earlier about the $20 million bond that they're needing.
And even then, Roxy, at the redistricting meeting or the proposal of the redistricting, they had no plans laid out for the public that could attend, and the board members looked as if they're like, what are we even here for?
Right.
This is literally
Yeah.
just a show of giving an opportunity for people to show up. And then they presented those same plans today with no one from the community that I am aware of, other than the men that were present that attended that meeting, to even be able to view the proposed redistricting lines. And then they didn't even give enough time for the public to even see the plans. So, and they already knew, they were already told who's going to make motion, who's going to second, and you could tell it is very scripted. I mean, you
Well,
can
and
tell.
Didn't they
These
hand
guys-
them the plans when they got there? The plans were on
Oh,
their,
it
on
was
their
in
desk
there,
when
yeah.
before the meeting started.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's it.
These guys.
Well, as you and me both know, Tiffany, so the board members actually have like a little agenda themselves in front of them in the podium. So they are told what to vote on,
It is
how
handed
to
out
vote.
by the attorney.
That's right.
But the way I was talking about the policies is there was a policy, the EBBI policy, that was adopted in 2020 when all this COVID mess broke out, which gave full authority to the superintendent, which restricted the elected officials that were voted in even more and to actually represent the constituents. However, in this policy, it had a deadline. So when a policy has a deadline in it, it's already null and voided. And it has not been amended. It had, so the EBBI policy is no longer in effect. However, I contacted a school board member today, and just to, make sure and recap.
Hey, Roxy, did
Yeah.
you feel comfortable with telling who you contacted with the school board?
Yeah, Scotty Wagner.
Okay, so you talked to Scotty Wagner today. What did you ask him? What did he have to say?
Well, when we first talked, I asked him if the EBBI policy was still in effect. He acted like he was a little confused. He didn't really know what I was talking about. He put me on hold for a minute and then came back and clicked over and told me that he would have to call me back because, he has another business and that it was one of his work crews that he would call me back. A few hours went by, so I texted him and I told him, I said, hey, don't forget to call me. Well, he did call me back. And so we started talking about the EBBI policy. And I asked him, I said, is that still into effect? And he was like, well, what is the EBBI policy? I said, the policy that was adopted in 2020. And he was like, well, is that like a code, a number? I was like, it was when the superintendent had full authority because of COVID. So he really didn't even know what the EBB policy was. And that is an issue because these board members don't really know anything that they're adopting of what they're doing because they're going off about what the attorney tells them what to vote on and what not to vote on.
Yeah, that's very disheartening, and it's very concerning when you're sitting in school board meetings, as we have all done, and we sit there and watch Elmer Noah, and he is actually
Running
he's the
Puppeteer show.
he's the puppeteer. Yeah, he's the dog and the pony with the show.
So let me give y'all a little background to what Roxy's saying, okay? So when that policy was put into place, an underwriter, basically, they hire a policy writing company, right? It's by a company. I'm thinking it's Forethought Consulting because that is who is like under their cap system across the 51 districts that this attorney,
Okay.
is for, represents. Okay, so the reason why the policy was put in place was, and this is so, it's not coincidental, but most people would think it is, was for if there's any reason, okay, for the board not to be able to collectively meet publicly, it needed to have a way for the superintendent to make a total,
Executive
totality, an executive decision for the whole board. Now, that, so from March of 2020 to July of 2020, okay, like we were 2 weeks to stop the spread, okay. But then in August of 2020, we've been having regular board meetings since August of 2020. The only reason why the policy should still be in place is if and only if, okay, the board is not able to meet regularly. Well, even in that instance, they can do a live,
Zoom.
they can do Zoom, they can do, even for the public. I mean, they have Zoom subscriptions and all these outlets for public meetings
That they already
between
pay for
principals
anyway.
that they
That's right.
that they already have budgeted in. And also, that's one of the reasons why the school board members at the time did not realize that that's why they kept telling us we don't have a say. We're told how to vote. We don't. That's why, because of the EBVI policy. But now, Roxy, do you want right now to go ahead and expose the other thing that Michael mentioned earlier about this policy and the term of the current
Yeah, Roxy,
superintendent?
I'm concerned about, so Don Coker comes in at 2015 for 4-year term. That ended in 2019, then it got extended for 2 years because of COVID. And so it got extended into July of 2021. Has there been anything that we just don't know about as the public that they extended his contract again? And then also I want to know, because I was thinking that Don Coker made $212,000 a year. I understand that you have done some studying and research, and my dollar amount's wrong. It's actually a lot more than that. Can you let us know exactly what's going on there?
Yes. Okay. So I can't tell you exactly what's going on because I'm a little confused as well. The policy that is in the Ouachita Parish School Board policy states that a superintendent cannot serve no longer than 4 years. However, upon the board's approval, they can extend it for 2 extra years. So he was appointed in 2014, but he was actually enacted as a superintendent in 2015, and he had his contract renewed in 2019 for 3 extra years. And within that time, in the board minutes, it states that the contract of his salary is supposed to be in the range of $150,000. And that his salary would not increase because there was no reason for it to increase per Jerry Hicks, which is the president of the board.
Which are in the school board minutes.
Do what?
Those are in the school board minutes,
Right.
correct? Okay.
Yes. And however, according to the audit that was just released, he had a $139,000 increase because he cleared $289,000 and some odd change, along with car allowances, club fees.
What kind of club fees? What's club fees?
You
I
know,
don't
like
know
Calvert
what the club
Crossing
fees
Big club,
are.
and we're not in it.
I'm still
Country
looking
club.
into that.
So country club fees, golfing, all that kind of stuff. We're not talking about that kind of stuff, are we?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, I would say yes, but I don't know for definite.
Are we just holding on to faith and going, we're hoping this is 4-H club, chess club?
No, there's
So
no
$289,000, and then you kick in car allowances and all that kind of stuff. So he's making over $300,000. His wife is making 60 plus,
60-something, yeah.
64,000 a year
No wonder he's not going
with the school board or in the
That's why
school
he's-
sector.
They needed somebody, and they had to pay somebody to go in there and pull this off.
And he has been in the system for a long time to be groomed and conditioned to keep this going. Now I will say this: this has been going
Swamp.
on in the superintendent position since like the early 1900s, okay? Maybe even the end of the, like, 1878.
Yeah, because we're finding
okay?
out the school system is just like the United States
It's an
corporation.
incorporation.
They designed it that way.
And
To
so
run it as a business.
the school board actually owns other businesses. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah. They
Or
have,
they own property.
How many?
48.
48 businesses, all in Ouachita Parish?
that's under the Ouachita
yes.
Parish
So it's like an
system.
umbrella effect. So Ouachita Parish School System was incorporated in 1896. However, Ouachita Parish School Board was incorporated in 2016. But there's 48, well, actually, let's say 47, because I would think that the Ouachita Parish School Board would be 48. So 47 other businesses that is affiliated and incorporated into the Ouachita Parish School System.
What?
So let me just
Like
tell you,
what?
just
We
so,
need- yeah, we need to
let
know
me
So the
tell you a
public school
tidbit.
sector is not a public
Public
school
school.
No,
sector.
it is a private business entity. So basically, if you're not on their payroll, if you're not on a board, if you're not on a committee, it's literally a dog and pony show because you don't get a say. The parents don't get a say.
You can't
When
even
a
fill out an
principal
application to go
tells a
hire 'em.
parent yesterday, when a principal tells a parent, when your kid comes on my property, they belong to us. You don't get to come in, you don't get a say. This is in our parish that these principals are saying these things. Okay.
So they're
This is
taking
why we're
ownership
about
of
to
our
turn
kids.
this on its head.
Okay, so what Roxy is basically revealing is that people have got to wake the heck up and realize that this is not about whether someone is a good person. We're not good people. We're sinners. We do things every day, okay? And if you're not
There's none
abiding
good
in
amongst
Christ,
us.
yes, if you're not abiding in Christ consistently and surrounding yourself with people like that, you're wretched.
That's right.
I mean, I am.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we all are. I
That's one
mean,
of my favorite
humble
chapters.
yourself enough to know
right.
that even though they have good qualities, I have good qualities, you do, Lance, that you still, there has to be accountability. And Scripture tells us those of us
right.
that are in Christ,
right.
that are His sheep,
That's right.
we are to judge in love and accountability. That's scriptural. That's in Scripture. Jesus says that.
That's right.
Okay? So, you know,
right.
you
There-
can't say, okay, so, you
So
know,
let's talk
Jesus
about-
meant this.
So
you
there's-
can't say
I know,
that.
I know.
Let's touch base then with Roxy, the nepotism that's taking place on the school board, or in the,
And that's my next thing was too, is that these school board seats coming up this next year are more important than they ever have been.
absolutely.
Okay, because now they know we know.
But we don't have to wait till then, Lance.
I know
That's the
that.
beautiful
I
thing
know
of what
that.
I'm about to
I know
tell
that.
y'all. And Roxy and I, so I'm working with a man out of Ohio that succeeded in this. There's a man in Florida, 30 out of 30, okay, winnings, okay, in the millions of dollars, y'all, in insurance complaint claims on these bonds, as well as federal court under the U.S. Code 42 civil, the deprivation of rights under the
Deprivation
color
of
of
rights.
law.
That's it,
And
right
there
there.
are seven things that they will go after.
7 categories.
When you get that into court, we're not going to use an attorney. You know why? Because we aren't upheld to the same bar standards. So if we get something wrong, guess what happens? They hand it back. You
have to
appeal.
fix
I
it.
have not sought my remedy. They let you come back in. Why do you think inmates get to keep appealing and keep it? They don't even have to pay anything extra. They just keep appealing and say, I've not sought my remedy, and they appoint it to come back. Okay? So, parents, you have wanted to draw your line in the sand, and you did, and you said if the shot ever was mandatory. Well, what happened today, Michael?
It's, the
Yeah,
the
we
governor is he's making it mandatory.
He's giving the LDH permission to add this to the childhood vaccine schedule.
They are bypassing
Even though-
legislation. Legislation is no longer it's lawlessness is what's taking place. Now we have tyranny. We have a tyrant governor that's in full control. He's setting laws. He's bringing and he's setting them down. And what has to take place? They're after Louisiana because it's about the South. It's about this region. He's the only Southern Democratic governor. And so if they can get the South, they can move this out to the Midwest, to the North, and all the other states, they're ready. There, I mean, New York, that's a given. California, that's a given. If they get the South, then that sets the tone for what's going to take place across this nation. We have to rise up. We have to resist. We have to bring a revolution right now. We have to do it. We have to get in front of our sheriff's department. We have to get in front of our school boards. We've got to get in front of our governor. But 110 to 100 to 300 is not going to do it. We've got to have thousands of people to rise up and rise up now, and it's got to happen in Louisiana. If you want to come in from Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, Texas, and unite with us to go to rallies and to do these kind of things, then okay. But the biggest part, Louisiana's got to rise up. The citizens of Louisiana has to rise up now because we're taking on water and we're about to go under.
Right. And what's the governor done? He's gone against the public. What did the House and Welfare Committee vote? What was the vote?
17-2.
17-2, right?
No,
So they're voting
13-2.
13-2.
13-2, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So those are
And while
elected.
we're talking about that, I also want everybody to be aware of, if they didn't actually watch that 7.5-hour meeting. So as of right now, it is actually going to an effect of 2022. However, those are mandated for kids that are 16 years and up. However, kids that are 5 to 11, they're kind of being a guinea pig right now, but as soon as they get, quote unquote, an FDA approval,
That's right.
they're not going to hold another meeting. That they're just going to go ahead and add it to the list of the younger children as well.
Well,
Is
Roxy,
it's
mark
still
my
not been
words,
federally
this will
approved.
happen before 2022, or November of 2022.
Watch what happens after Christmas.
This will happen, this governor will move faster than a year from now.
Oh
He-
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I see it happening.
The faster they move, the easier it's going to be because
when they
there
go
are so
back
many
to
people
school.
Yeah.
that don't know.
I foresee something happening at the first of the year. I don't know if they're going to remove kids or if they're going to bring back in the mask, and it's something I foresee coming in the winter, spring. But kids may be removed from the school sector again because of a flare up or because of this other.
Well, let me
ask
just
y'all a
tell you
question.
real quick. In the oversight committee hearing, Cantor's assistant, or whoever she is, stated that an outbreak for COVID-19 and in schools is 2. So if a school
Yeah.
Yeah.
has
That's
2
ridiculous.
positive cases, that's
And it's an
considered an
outbreak.
outbreak,
2
and they
out
are
of
going
700
to
kids is
put
an
in
outbreak.
all kinds of protocols. Y'all, this is what is so concerning. In that meeting, Mike Eccles, love him. He is hardcore. He can question and navigate those responses and call the lies out like you wouldn't believe. But he kept reiterating that if the parent writes the written dissent, which I do need to announce that in a minute, if they turn it in, the LDH is going to find out through the LDOE
Right.
or the school system,
Right.
and they can send welfare checks.
That's right.
If they are on any type of government assistance, food stamps, WIC, Medicaid, Medicare, anything, they can hold you ransom, basically, and withdraw that. And that was Cox's huge thing for his district, because he had, or his, his area that he
Yeah.
represents, was because the majority of his area is on assistance. They have to have it. They can't survive without it.
Yes, they can. They can.
Yes, they can.
Yes, you can. We can.
We
But
all can.
we have to unite.
Yes.
We can turn down everything, and that's what the government wants. They want you compliant. They want you dependent on them. They want the Social Security, disability. They want all those people that's
right.
dependent on them. But we can rise up. We can
That's right.
unite. Yes, it'll be tough, but it's going to happen if we're going to resist this
You have
stuff.
to break away from the system
Once
completely.
we break their system,
Yep.
they have no
That's right.
control.
And that's what it is, a system, and it's
That's it.
designed to control you.
Well, this is a beast system that has
That's
been
right.
in play for many years, but now it's coming into the control factor.
Right.
Controlling the people.
Yo,
You're going to do what
listen
I
to
say
this.
do. You're going to get in your body what I'm telling you to do, or you're not going to live. You're not going to have health care. You're not going to have money. You're not going to have food.
You're going to lose your American dream,
right.
that we have desensitized you to anything other than the American dream, and basically cause you to be a selfish creature of the world, because what dream are we supposed to be living out as children of God? His. So every day you should be walking by faith. You should be seeking, Lord, where do you need me today? I know you're going to feed me. I know you're going to clothe me. I know someone is going to
Time to
love me
live by
today.
faith. That's right.
We're all called to do just that.
That's right.
So this
So what do we
this
do? Come
system,
together, right?
Yes, you
Okay.
have to come
The
together.
bride has to come
Yes.
together.
So let's
We need
announce
to-
what we're. Go ahead.
Well,
Adam.
I
Why
was
don't
gonna
you
say,
say
we
that?
need to put this on the agenda,
Okay.
because we need answers on
Yeah,
this.
go ahead.
Oh no,
Go
you
ahead.
can't ask them questions.
Why-
You're gonna have to meet
why
with
is
them.
the Ouachita
I'm sorry, but
Parish-
can I say one real
Yeah.
quick thing regarding that?
Absolutely.
Part of that is when we see a need, this person is about to lose their gainful employment because they won't take the stabby,
Yep.
We need to get into action and not just go, well, dang, that's rough for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we need to
right.
start
That's
figuring out how we help.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Because it's
yeah.
hard to walk that stuff alone. So just be thinking about that while we're.
Churches have resources
They're
for their
supposed to, yeah.
congregation.
But
There are
Tiffany, right now churches haven't showed up. We got to leave
No.
the churches
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
We are the
You're
church.
right.
That's right.
That's
Exactly.
exactly
So
right.
the church
that's-
at large is what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I mean,
we
you're
all
totally.
have
Here's,
resources.
here's
the
what
body.
it is we're trying to determine where we draw the line between this church and this church. It's
We
the
are the
church.
church.
We are.
Yeah.
We are the church,
right.
not the building, and we have to come together as people.
It's a competition, is what it is in our area of servitude and faithfulness and tithing.
You
And
can't
That's
get
what
one
it
Baptist
is.
church to meet with another Baptist church because they're jealous of each
Right.
other.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you got more money, or you got this person, you got this,
Or
you
there
got
are
that, you got-
theological differences that they can't even be able
Well, that's
to.
how they bring division. That's how they separate
Yeah,
to be able
it's
to
pretty
get
clever to-
keep
That's right.
their social
That's right.
group.
And that's
Yeah.
how what Spence was saying about helping those people. When we started talking that before, he's right on track. And that's the direction that this needs to go. So the direction this country needs to go is to get back together, okay?
And the
Remove
people
this
do it.
system, okay?
Yeah.
And you help one another.
Yeah.
Our
Okay?
indigenous
Let me throw
people.
this out there. So we've got the naysayers that says this is going to happen. This is revelation. This is what the Bible says. This is what God says. So you got pastors, you got all these people,
So
all
you
these
give up?
Christians that says, okay, this is going to happen. This has got to happen. So let's just let it happen.
No.
Okay. But the bride of Christ has to sustain through this as well.
That's right.
Until we're out of here. Until the bride is gone. So we're the only thing, the bride is the only thing keeping all the other evil to break loose.
Sure.
All the tribulation to take place.
That's right.
We're it. And what is pre-tribulation to tribulation? It's the bride of Christ. And the only thing is, how do you know pre-trib to tribulation is once the bride is gone, everything's going to be hell up to that point because it's going to look like tribulation because once the bride is gone, it's tribulation.
That's right. And we're not here.
I hope.
But that's the point, though,
Let's go.
is that we are not going to just let this country go by to the wayside.
I'm
We're
not.
not going to sit by and do it, right?
We
If
got to
you
win
do
souls. We got to
that-
wake people
That's
up.
right.
If
So
you do
we-
that,
I
you're
personally
dishonoring.
believe that we have an opportunity for a reprieve. Where if we can come together, but how do we do that? So how do we bring these people together? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and announce it tonight too because I think it's very important.
do it.
First thing that we need to know is people need to know what their constitutional rights are and what the laws are.
Lance, before we do it, there is a pastor and wife here
Okay.
in Ouachita Parish that's ready to unite.
That's right.
And they've reached out to you.
That's right.
And so that's where we're going
And that's
with
where
this.
we're going with this. Okay, so does anybody remember? And I'll bring this up too. When Black Lives Matter, okay, two summers ago, was burning down cities, going through neighborhoods, tearing down stuff. Does everybody
I forget
remember
it.
that
I
time?
forget their
it,
name,
It was
but-
in Missouri.
Yep.
And it was a husband and a wife couple, and they had a mob of people tearing down the gate to their gated community.
That's right.
Okay.
They come out with their
They,
AK-47s.
they came out
okay.
and stood on their porch and stood their ground, and guess what happened?
They go to jail.
They got arrested for
Yeah.
protecting their property. But guess what we just found out?
What's that?
That was thrown out because they were following the Constitution. They have every constitutional right to defend yourself.
That's right.
Okay? This system has broken the law. They break the law to fulfill the law.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
So we for one, this is what this organization that we are banding together right now. This organization is going to be called Louisiana Constitutional Regiment, LACER. Okay? LACER, LACR, LACER,
Okay.
LACR.
So what is LACER going to be?
LACER's going to be, for one, it's going to be a lot of different categories, and it's going to be everybody together, okay? And we're going to divide this. First, we're going to divide the parish up into different quadrants, and then we're going to divide the state up into different quadrants, okay? And the first meeting we're going to have is going to be in the middle of January. And the first thing that we're going to learn, okay, is if somebody tries to violate you and threaten you, okay, and violate your constitutional, what are your rights and what is your responsibility, okay, as an American, okay, to defend yourself?
So it's going to be a militia. Revolution
Well,
militia.
okay, let's say it like this, okay. I'll back up.
Militia
all right?
sounds, but
No, it is, Michael, it is your responsibility to have a well-regulated militia as an American. Did you know that?
no.
It is your responsibility. Have
I
you
mean,
done that?
I know this, my right to protect myself,
That's
my
right.
family,
Right.
my property, and
Right.
so I get. You're
Okay,
right.
That's right.
You're right.
There is, and there are certain counties across the country that every 18-year-old person must own a firearm. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Okay, they're going. It is our constitutional duty to have a railroad.
They must own.
They must own a firearm for
Right.
these exact reasons. Okay, so we are going to learn what the Constitution is. We're getting back to the Constitution.
Right.
Okay, we're going to learn what the laws are and how to defend ourselves. We're
So
going to
we're
have
gonna have-
firearm
we're gonna have
training.
meetings?
Yes, we're going to have meetings once a month.
And so we're gonna be
that's
teaching the Constitution.
And what we're going to do is all these groups with 20, 15, 20 people, we're bringing all the groups together into one. Families, okay? So if you were in this quadrant and you got 10 families in this area, okay, what happens if we lose communication? And it's not so far-fetched anymore that what happens if a platoon of 200 18-year-old soy boy army guys march through your neighborhood and want to round people up? What do you do?
That's right.
Okay? We need to know those things, okay? We need to get back to the old way. We need to learn how to plant. We need to learn how to farm. We need to learn how to barter. And we need to learn how to pick one another up.
That's right.
Because we don't need their system.
That's right.
You don't need it, okay? So
Well,
this
we
is-
think we need it.
No, we don't need
But
it.
if we get
that's
back,
right. That's right. If
We're,
we
we're
get
gonna
back,
have to. We're gonna have to rid ourselves of materialistic things.
That's right.
We have been conditioned for materialistic things, computers, phones, those kind of things. We are going to have to get back to a simple life.
right. We're gonna have to learn healing. Okay. For one, we're gonna learn healing from the Holy Spirit.
That's right.
Okay. But we also, God's given us everything on this planet to treat one another.
Yes.
Okay. What happened is Big Pharma got involved, and they've convinced you that you have to have a shot or a vaccination to live. Okay. Well, what they have done, and you didn't know this, I didn't know this, is they give you these shots, these vaccinations, these medications, so they can treat something else, and you have to come back to treat that treatment. Okay, so this is an opportunity for us as a community and as a parish and as a state, hopefully, eventually, to come together in this, and we're going to shut down the system.
That's good. I like it. It's nice.
Yes.
I like it.
Can I announce how the parents are going to do that and
Yeah.
take back their
Please.
public schools?
Please.
Because this is
This is all
you
part
know,
of it. That's right.
This is really important because parents have been desperate for. I want my kids in the schools. I love my teachers. You know, most of them are called by the Lord to be in the place that they are, for a multitude of reasons. Okay. Parents, the way that we are seeing that we can do that is by, unfortunately, you know, you're going to be seeking remedy upon the school board in an individual capacity as well as their professional capacity. But again, they've had no problem accepting funding and everything that has been, you know, causing your family hardship, has been causing psychological, emotional, socialization issues for your children. That damage and that scarring is never going to go away from them.
That's right.
It has been, you know, and now the psychological things that's being promoted in the classroom, that the social emotional learning, the diversity, equity, inclusion, the critical race theory. When we all were introduced to professional learning communities, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, we were like, oh my goodness, this is a wonderful idea, because that means we teachers get 30, 45 minutes one day a week to come together, see what we're all doing, communicate. Well, if you look into the history of implementing critical race theory, diversity, equity, inclusion, curriculum, and social emotional learning, which has everything to do with oppression versus like dominating over cultures. It has everything to do with gender confusion. It has everything to do with all the gender fluidities. Everything. I mean, everything. And it starts in kindergarten, pre-K kindergarten of introducing these things to these children. So,
Hey, Roxy, bringing you back in.
That's called a teacher buy-in, because we teachers are trained in what content. We have a degree in the content areas, and we're certified by a praxis test that lets everyone know that we know our content. We know what the kids need to know. And then we get into the classroom and we do that. Now, in order for them to put new curriculums on us after we have gained our education, they have to do teacher buy-ins. They have to desensitize us and sprinkle it in so that we don't realize it. And it wasn't until I, resigned from Ouachita Parish that I even realized I was, basically in a rock and a hard place, because I knew what my math kids needed. I knew the life skills. I knew the financial planning. I knew that they needed to sit down, me with their parent and them, and determine, even if you're a 4.0 student, rock star football player, can you afford college? Is your degree that you're going to go to college for even worth the debt you're going to accrue? Because you can go to college at 30, you can go to college at 40. There's 50, 60, 70-year-olds going to college now because they had to work and set their foundations in their family and where they wanted to establish their home and their life. That was not okay that I was doing that, because it was affecting ACT scores. It was affecting, and I'm just going to be honest, there were a lot of kids that I introduced to VOTEC because they can get alternative high school diplomas to where they can get into the workforce. They can do where you job shadow and you get paid.
Not every student is a college
internships and
student.
Apprenticeships, yes, internships and all those things. So parents, the way that you can take back your public school is by going after the insurance bonds of the school board. And it's to put them in a position where they have to listen to you, because if they don't, and the insurer, and I'm not talking about just one parent coming forward and sending in a complaint of $1.3 million in damages. I'm talking about 20 to 30 to 50 to hundreds of parents that have decided in 51 school districts, okay, in the state of Louisiana, that I have just been able to contact within 2 days, okay. These parents have medical damages. These parents have, the compensation they have
an opportunity,
been seeking remedy for, but we haven't known where to go, okay. This is it. Because if they're, and this is going back to the elections and stuff, if they can't hold a surety bond, and if an insurer will not, they can't trust them because of dishonesty or poor faith performance or anything, an insurer is not going to bond them.
They lose their
Therefore, they vacate their seat.
That's right.
Okay, so we might not even have to have recalls.
No, we may not.
Because the president and the superintendent currently are the two that are bonded. Probably, I have not talked to the bond insurer yet, because it's like, the superintendent is like, well, talk to the attorney. The attorney emails, well, talk to Regina Mika. She's the one over this. They're trying to deter me from finding, but I can do a public records request. I can go to the Secretary of State, because these bonds are attached to their oaths of office, you guys.
And it follows them for life.
For life.
Yes.
And if a claim is made, if a complaint is made, you can't expunge it. It's there. It's going to follow you. So if any of these people wanted to run for elected office past this point, it carries with them.
That's right.
Certifications they have, it attaches to them just like a judgment does, okay? So if you're a parent and you want your children to stay in public schools, and you need them to, and you want education reform for your educators to be able to teach how they know that they need to teach, and you want the school board to listen to you and the advocates that are in attendance for you, you need to be submitting these claims. And you don't even have to have a claim form from the insurer. You can send in your own claim, and I can help you do that. So,
That's great.
so this is what we're doing, okay? So we are going to first file our complaints to the bond insurer. And so you're going to be seeking compensatory and punitive damages in both their official and their individual capacities. Because the reason why, because the majority of every parent, myself included, whenever I make a complaint or file a complaint, it's going to exceed the millions, okay? And if their bond is only 50 grand,
That's right.
the insurer may say, well, we'll cover one.
Right.
But then you owe us money with interest because we're going to pay this out for you, okay? But whenever you get 10, 20, 50, 100 from one parish or 51 districts, because most likely those carry the same bond insurer, you're getting on it up into the hundreds of millions and billion, okay? Where the insurer is going to be like, whatever y'all are doing, you need to stop, and you need to need to remedy this now because
Tiffany, do
you're
you
gonna
think that, because this thing is well drawn and well planned out on a world level, you don't think they've got something ready to come and
No,
rebut
because it
that?
goes back to the
okay,
Constitution.
so if they do, okay, because there's, they looked mighty candid.
Yeah, I
at
want to
the
bring
meeting
Roxy
today-
in too, because I know you two waited. Did y'all get to talk to Don or
No.
anybody? Okay.
No, because they went into an executive meeting about basically an expulsion hearing for a student. So, so it
Or
you don't want to do this, but at the same time, this has been 4 months. I mean, the health damages on these kids, and it's not going away. So,
It's only going to
Well, first we tried to educate them. We tried to help them. We tried to get behind them and support them if they were doing the right thing.
yes,
okay?
Roxy and I have been advocating for them. Roxy announced in a school board meeting and said, you can hire me to research the things that you do not know. Board members, do
right.
you know that you can hire me? She was like, I'll do it for free.
right.
I'm already doing it free for
That's
the
right.
public. I'm a patient advocate. Like,
Right.
I love research. I can find you the truth. I can educate you very quickly about what you're voting on and why this is this and why you need this.
That's why this goes back to we have to know we have to do what we got to do because we ended up begging them to do the right thing for these kids. We ended up just begging them, please do the right thing for the health and safety of these children. You
How well
know,
did that work out?
huh?
How well did that work out?
They laughed at us,
They did.
right? So this is our recourse, okay?
This is the only
this is the
recourse that's
only
even an
recourse.
option
That's
right
right.
now.
That's right.
And so we're willing and ready to even take this to federal court because if the bond insurer, in the state of Louisiana is different than Ohio and Florida, and there's some differences.
that's
Okay, Louisiana is more strict in one thing and then less strict in the other, and everything is a variable across the states.
Tiffany, how do we get the parents involved in these things? Because there's a lot of damages. There's a lot of psychological damages, not just to students, but to teachers. There's a lot of damages out there. What is it going to take to get, is it going to take somebody dying? What's it going to take for people to wake up and say, hey, we've got to do this, we've got to...
I don't think so. I don't even think a death of a student or an employee is going to change things. Look at the millions and millions. If money is involved, no one has a good conscience anymore. We're seeing it play out every single meeting. I basically told them, we see how you have made your decisions, basically the superintendent, and he even, not boastfully, but gloatingly, in a way,
Oh, he was
said,
excited.
we've never seen this much
He was
money.
giddy about it.
And so, I do want to say this though, because parents need to go ahead and send in their written dissent with a TRO, which is a restraining order, that I'm going to be emailing. So they need to
Which
email
we've been saying for months. I've been saying that for months.
You
Get
need
a
to go ahead
restraining
and send
order.
in your written dissent with a restraining order, a TRO that I have that if you email the Parents Choice LA email, I will
What's that email address?
parentschoicela@gmail.com. I will give you an example of the written dissent and attach the TRO with the letter of written dissent to your school board and your principal. Okay, that's the very first thing you need to do, to have some type of paper trail saying that when it happens, not if it happens, but when it happens and your kid is quarantined from you, removed at the school, you have no access to your kid, or they accidentally inoculate your kid and give them a shot, which that's happened twice in our state now. I don't know if parents know that. And the nurses and Oshner was like, oh,
Sorry.
well, oops.
Yeah. Oops.
Well, we didn't know, or, you know, basically like, oops, but oh well, you know, and the damage is done.
Yeah.
The only way to protect your child 100% is to remove them from this system. I mean, and I know this is going to sound harsh.
But the governor's also coming after, once this takes place, it doesn't just stay with the public schools, it goes to the private schools. He's going after private schools and daycares.
That's right.
So
Yes.
he's covering in college,
That's right.
all the way up from
Yes.
daycare to college
What
level.
was the verbiage you used, Tiffany, when they violate the what? Like with a personal deal? You said something. It had to be if they were against health and welfare. You said a verb. What was it? There's a verb you used. What statute in the statute you read earlier? What they had to do for us to pursue this? There was a couple things you said in that group. Do that you remember? It's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll go over it.
Yeah. So,
I mean, you were saying this is going to sound harsh too. We'll go ahead and
yeah,
finish that.
this is going to sound harsh, but
it's
honestly, the truth is offensive. Otherwise,
It's
the Bible would
not.
just be all sunshine and rainbows, right? But, you know, we've been saying for how many months now, like, where do parents draw the line? And the poll in the group, across the community, parents posting on their own pages, if the shot ever was a true threat, and now it is 100%, not like
It's happened.
50%,
It's happened.
75%. It
It's
is
on our door.
100%
It's
a
here.
threat to your child.
The next thing, once he gets if November's the date, I think it'll be sooner, but if November of next year's it, guess what? The buses with nurses will be at every
Oh,
school.
yeah. Well, it's a certainty.
And they'll do rotations with that too. It's already in
right.
the
That's right.
shot
They'll
plans. I mean, you can look them
When
up.
it gets to that point, as Aaron has said, it's too late.
And they won't announce to the parents when that is, and they've already made that clear just for the ones that are
Down south.
doing the campaign buses across the state right now through LSU Oshner. They aren't even announcing to the parents. And if your child is on premises, if you've not given them a letter of written dissent, if your child is at that school on the day they come, your child's presence is your consent.
Right.
Oof.
That's right.
I just want
Okay.
y'all to know too, they're not letting your kids leave classroom and come call you. I had
they
to
won't.
let my kid know you can cry and throw a fit, go against them. I've never once ever taught my children to go against an adult unless they felt uncomfortable and there is a right way and a wrong way to
threatened, yeah.
disagree. I teach my kids core beliefs. I am Jesus inside and out. These teachers are not letting your kids leave the classrooms and go call you, even if their stomach's hurting. I had to tell my kid, tell them you have a right to call me. Cry
But
until
they
I
don't, because
get there.
they've got control of your children.
That's
They're-
what they told me.
That's
They
their
said-
children.
That's what they
That's
told
their
me.
child.
They said when
They're
they
co-parent.
drop them off, whenever you drop them off on this premises, they're ours.
That is
We have the right to
brazen.
discipline them. We
That's
have the
very
right to.
brazen.
And
They're
I told
getting
I was
brazen
like,
about it.
nope.
And they've done such a good job since kindergarten that it doesn't matter what you say. In a lot of cases, now some kids are strong-willed enough that they will stand up.
They'll get out.
But for the most part, your kids that want to do right,
They will sit down and listen
wanna-
to the teacher.
Yeah, they want to
Yeah.
go along and they want to do the right thing and they like their teacher and da da da. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Kids getting bullied. It's like okay, well, punch them in the nose.
Yeah.
no, I don't want to get in
I don't
trouble.
wanna get in
It's like,
trouble.
well, yeah, but you're getting,
Yeah,
you're getting
Beat
getting
up.
hurt. Like,
You have
do something.
damages.
Well, no,
yeah.
they said we just need to tell the teacher.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
I'll have my rainbow colored bird taken.
That's right.
Their treats is they're being conditioned.
They've been conditioned.
right, they've
too.
been conditioned
But-
since day one.
Like,
We have a family member that's a teacher, okay, and she's just now starting to wake up. Listen to this, what she told my wife the other night. She said that,
Don't get yourself in trouble.
no,
We're
I'm
live.
not, I'm not.
Yeah,
This is what she said.
Lance.
She said, with this curriculum and the emotional stuff what's emotional training, what was it?
Social, emotional,
Social and emotional training. They have conditioned these kids, okay? She's got kids that are, I believe, in the 6th grade, okay, that are coming up to her, all right, telling them that I think his name is Michael, I think my name is Susie today.
That ain't me.
I think, okay, I'm not joking, okay? She said it is not cool unless they have identity issue or a mental illness.
Right.
Mental illness is the
Yes.
cool thing to do,
Yes.
okay?
And it's now becoming a running joke. Like,
That's right.
students are doing it now, which, from an educator, that puts more paperwork on us because we have to report that to the counselors.
That's right.
Because then extensive counseling has to happen. Parents
Well,
have
it
to be
gives you-
called.
It also gives
And
the
it puts
child,
liability back on us
right.
but
again.
it
And
gives the
teachers have
child
enough
a free
to
rein.
worry about.
Gives the child a free rein to kind
Yes,
of.
it does.
Kinda
Manipulate.
do what they
to
wanna do.
manipulate.
That's right.
Yes. So this is what I was going to say that's offensive, Lance.
It goes here.
Hold on to your seat. So parents literally have put a price on their child's head of what they're willing to protect them from and of.
Selling
okay?
out their kid, they don't even realize it.
So, and they don't realize it, and that's the thing. But parents have put a price on their child's head and what they're worth to the parent. And now the government knows what they're worth to the government and to the parent, okay? So, their job, their reputation, their social statuses,
For sports.
their American dream, the parent's American dream, is all worth more than the social trauma, the psychological damage, the emotional damage, and their physical safety and future of their person. I'm 33 years old. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, almost a 3-year-old. I would give my life for my kids. Do you hear me?
Sure.
I would much rather myself have something happen and them get 33 years that I've already lived than them not to get it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so we did make sacrifices for me not to be working. I mean, honestly, this is uncomfortable.
For sure.
I did not ask for any of this. The Lord appointed this, okay? I was very comfortable
Hello.
homeschooling and, traveling with my husband whenever he's off. I was like, thank you, Lord, 6.5 years of pure hell, and then I get rest. Thank you, God. And then he was like, hey, sister, those 6.5 years, guess what? They
Time to
were
go to
for a
work.
reason.
Go for a
Time to go to
reason.
work.
Move to
Because
action right
you've
now.
been able to see that from the inside. You've seen the progression of it, okay?
I saw
You've seen
from the beginning of the teacher
That's right.
buy-in of all
That's right.
of the trauma that, and I'm telling you, I literally, everything in me makes me question and ask questions.
That's right.
And when something doesn't make sense to me, and whenever I don't even have to not agree with it. I'm not wrapping my mind around the end game or the objective or whatever of this. And my face tells it.
That's right.
And there are looks that I give that I do not know I give.
And what this conversation has done and what this group has done too is we know what the outcome is in this. We already seen it, okay? That's what I was telling Aaron this morning when I got out of the car today at the school. And I said, don't we feel like geniuses sometimes? Because we've predicted every single thing that was going to happen, and we've told them exactly how this was going.
Honestly, the Lord has humbled me in all of this because we don't want to be right.
No.
Yeah.
No, no.
Like
I wish we
Michael
weren't.
said, board members, Coker, Hicks, please prove us wrong. Please prove us wrong. Please do
And
something
what'd
to
they say?
show us that we're so out of our minds that
Yeah.
none of this is true. But every day the Lord appoints me in Baton Rouge. He appoints me here. And the more deceit and the more lies that are uncovered, I'm just like,
We're in a season of truth.
That's right.
Truth has to prevail because whenever Christ returns, truth has to be open. Everybody has to know. You have to know and deny it. And so in order to deny it, you got to know it. And been at least offered it, introduced to it. So I believe we're in a season of truth.
Absolutely.
And people are choosing. I mean, I've got people that, I hate this gaslighting season, but they will gaslight you, and but they can't stand you. You know, people I've known for years, they'll get with me on social media and stuff, and they'll, oh, this or that, and it's just gaslighting. Because honestly, they can't stand the spirit that we possess.
That's right.
It's their spirit's not matching up with ours.
And they know.
They know
inside,
truth.
They know
it's true. These people have had encounters with the Holy Spirit in churches 10, 12, 15 years ago that I know, and they've just turned their back to it. They've been conditioned, and they've decided to harden their hearts.
Oh yeah.
But then you got other people, and Roxy, I'm gonna kind of throw you out there. You got people like Roxy that she's like, what was it, 5-6 months ago? She's letting us know, I'm being awakened to some of these things, and y'all are just inspiration to me, and she's not under. I mean, not Roxy. You really hadn't been a churched person, but you're being awakened by the Holy Spirit. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
So the Christ, the bride is being awakened. I mean, I'm hearing from people that hadn't been to church. They hadn't been raised like that. They hadn't been conditioned religiously, but they're having dreams. They're having visions. They're saying, "Hey," and it's God appointed things, and they're calling and they're reaching out and they're saying, I don't want to know what this means. I'm saying this is what, and this is what you're seeing, and this is why you're seeing it, and this is what's really happening on a spiritual realm. And they say, that's exactly what I'm dealing with. And so the Bible is very clear that these things are going to happen in a season, in a time, before the coming of Christ.
And don't get discouraged either, because for some reason there's a facade going on that, especially, I mean, with amongst church congregations, that the only apostles, the only disciples, the only appointed people are in the Bible, and that it's very unlikely that someone today is going to be called by God.
But they went
to
in the
do
Bible whenever
something.
they were doing it.
That's exactly what I was fixing to say.
But people,
There's going to be a new Bible. There's going to be a new.
People view today, because
History-
we have Americanized
History
Jesus.
was
We have
written
Americanized. Yes, we have Americanized.
You don't think angels are taking
Christianity.
account of what we're doing right now?
Yes,
Exactly.
I mean,
You don't think? Why does the Bible say that every tear is being stored up in heaven? Every tear that you shed
Yes.
is being stored.
I say every
Everything is
every
being
tear is a
counted.
prayer.
Everything counts. This is all testing.
Yes.
We're only testing here for what we are in eternity. We're either going to burn or we're going to reign with Christ. One or the other.
and this is something that I saw one of y'all share today, was that in a world of lawlessness, what was it that the only people that are responsible are the good people that are doing nothing, right? And I'm pretty sure the president or someone said that at some point. But what I'm wanting parents to realize is that it's gone this far because everything else, your American dream, your job, your standard of living, your nothing for you has been sacrificial enough for your children for you to stop it.
I'm going to go on account. In 24 months, everything that you thought mattered, you will see didn't matter.
That's
And
right.
whenever you will set 24 months from now, and you will say, I should have done something 24 months ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting in a place and I've lost it all.
And that's
You're
why-
going to lose everything you've got either way. They're coming after it. You're
Yeah.
going to lose it. At some point, you've got a price that you won't let go of. It's something God knows that what that is, and He's going to bring you to it.
So,
And you're either going to choose Him over it, or you're going to choose the devil's system. One or the other. And whenever you get to that place, it's going to be too late.
And you're contributing to the lawlessness.
that's right.
by you not doing anything, that is you doing something.
That's right.
That's right. That's why I was saying.
You are willingly participating in it by being obedient to whatever system they lay before you, which is, I mean, I love the word desensitizing. We desensitize our kids to spiritual things every day, like ghosts and, you know, all the things.
That's why you say if you
Satan-
don't pick a side.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
picking a side, you've picked your side.
That's
By
true.
not picking a side.
Well, Satan is on full rampant right now, and he's after families. I mean, there's hell taking place against families, against children, against parents,
Divided.
and that's exactly what's trying to be taking place. It's either happening between husband and wife, or it's happening between husband and wife, and children and parents. It's taking place because Satan, he knows that this is his hour. He's got to do it.
You got a small chance right now. You know.
It's his play box,
Sure.
his play time, and
Sure.
so we're the toys. But I've said it time and time again: our weapons of warfare are not carnal. We got to use them. We got to realize we're children of Christ, or we're children of God, and we're joint heirs to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. We share the same power. We got to tap
You
into
got to.
it.
You got to.
If we don't, we're going to lose this. You're going to lose your soul in it.
Our
Yeah.
generation will.
Well, I believe this generation of kids, mark my words on this, for the same thing I said for the parents for 24 months from now, watch what happens in this generation of kids, because an awakening's coming. A revival is going to take place. And we have not been able to bridge the gap from my generation, our generation, to the millennial generation. We can't bridge that gap. We can't even understand that generation. But God's going to awaken them, and He's going to bridge the gap. Whenever He does, He's going to do something great in that
Amen.
generation.
Amen.
And if we are not in line with it, and it's not going to look like the church people.
No.
Whenever you got the blue hairs and the green hairs and all these tattooed people coming up, and they're like
Save me.
proclaiming Christ, and they're working miracles in the streets, why you got the synagogues and those pastors in those synagogues saying, no, that's hell out there, you better stay away from that.
Yep.
That's going to be the revival, and you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
We always say
Gonna
you
be
got to
late to
walk
the
through
party.
the dark to see the light. And we talk about this awakening that's happening. You know?
When you got the homosexuals turning around, laying it all down, giving it to Christ, it's going to happen. A lot can happen in 3 days.
Sure.
Christ died and He rose again within 3 days.
That's
A
right.
revival can take place within 3 days, and then rapture take place, and we're out.
That's it.
It can happen that quick.
Praise God.
And then, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? What are the people left that remain here? What are we going to do? Or what are you going to do? Because I don't plan on being here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be here through that. Sure, you can sustain. There's going to be a select group of people that make it through. But
And that's why we're here at this time, at this hour, is we have a responsibility to fight for this.
we got to awaken
We
the people.
have to.
We're
We have to.
watchmen
wake them
on the
up.
wall.
We have to. We don't have a choice.
Spence, it looks like you're wanting to say something.
Well, just so many people have bought that their church has sold it to them that, you know, God's got this. You don't have to get all fired up about this. And I've heard that
Yeah,
over
that's-
and over and over. And that is maddening to hear that being taught to people, you know. And it's maddening for people to embrace it. So I say, you know, reject that bull and let's do like we're talking about and put your hands to the plow, you know.
Sure.
Let's get moving with this, you know.
Amen.
Roxy, how about you? What's your thoughts?
Do what? I'm sorry. I had y'all on mute. I was in the car.
No, it's okay. I know that you've been sitting back listening, and we've lost you a couple of times. School board, I know that you've got a lot going on. You've got a lot of great research, and not just research, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I think Roxy's a great candidate for a school board member.
I second.
Second.
I make motion.
Yeah, second that motion.
I second that. Yeah.
And
Well,
you
thank
just so
y'all.
happen to be in District C,
Oh,
and
yes.
There's
Hey, isn't there a recall currently going on for District C?
and you stay in contact with Scotty, and you tried to bring him in. You try to reel him in.
She's still trying to work with him. Lord bless your heart.
Yeah, I am. Look, okay. I am a very benefit of the doubt type of person and stuff, and I have nothing against Scotty at all personally.
None of us do.
However, in and this is my honest opinion, and this is my mama bear opinion, okay? I initially got so involved in it because of my daughter, because of my daughter's future. Well, however, God showed me that it is a much bigger issue. It's not just my child, and it's not just the kids, it's the employees, it's the whole community. And what gets underneath my skin is the more that I research and the more that I study as a school board member, the very first lines in the policy manual in order to become a school board member is to put all politics to the side. However, that board is ate up with politics, which politics is not a dirty word. However, people have made it into a dirty word. And they need to realize that this school board is interfering with the kids' future.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And there is no backbone. There is backbone when it's like face to face. You hear, they tell you what you want to hear, but once you get in those meetings, they're just sitting back looking like they're lost.
That's right.
They're either lost or they're cutting eye contact at you and trying to.
Yeah,
Kill
and
you.
I don't understand why in the world they can't think outside the box. Okay, so I'm in it for the whole community. And honestly, a school board member, in my honest opinion, has to have the willpower, the compassion of going further and beyond of what is written in black and white. So a school board member is actually, the roles and the responsibility of them are, to represent the constituents and to adapt policies and to make sure that they're adapting the curriculum in order for these kids to have a great education. However, they're also the ones who hire and fire the superintendent, and the superintendent is actually in charge over the employee, the employees. Okay, so put two and two together. If they are responsible for the superintendent and the superintendent is responsible for their employees, it takes no brainers to figure out, in reality, they are also responsible for the superintendent and the employees. They need to be a strong advocate for the people that they represent, for the employees, for the kids, for the parents, and they're not.
Yeah.
The only time they want to hear from, like I said earlier, the only time they actually want to hear from people is when they're needing more money.
Well, they don't even
Roxy,
want to hear from the people. They just go
They
out
just
there
want the
and
money.
throw it out there.
Yeah.
And Roxy, you hit it on the head. You know what you said earlier when you said politics is considered a bad word, right? Well, when you separate your Christianity from politics, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you bring Christ into everything around you, that's when it moves forward in the direction of the kingdom. Okay? So I think I may have said this to you guys before, but I had a family member that was telling me, as a distant family member of his, and this member professes to be a Christian, okay, and she votes for the Democrat Party, right? And what she told this uncle of mine is that you need to learn how to separate your Christianity from your politics.
Oof.
And that's what's happening. Once you separate anything from your relationship with Christ, you're going to run into a problem. So you hit your nail on the head right there. Is politics doesn't have to be a bad word, but who is right there with you?
Well, and the federal government has done the very same thing.
They've done that on purpose, though.
And exactly, but because
Right.
the way the United States was originally set up by our forefathers was Christ is intertwined
That's right.
with this nation.
That's right.
And this nation, these leaders can't stand that, and they're trying to untwine that connection.
That's why we're getting back to the Constitution.
That's right.
And I want to actually touch back on the Roberts Rule that y'all were talking about earlier about the 3-minute situation. So just about every local school board has adopted the Roberts Rule, and that's honestly for the meetings to actually go in order, like to be more organizational, honestly. However, the Ouachita Parish School Board policy on the public meetings, in reality, they're supposed to hold a meeting the second Tuesday of each month and every fourth Thursday of each month. So they're supposed to have 2 meetings within 1 month and rotate the times through noon into the evening time in order for the public to come in, because they work for the public, but they don't.
They don't work for their public.
They're supposed to represent the public.
Yeah.
But they
They
do
don't.
not give any kind of time or even the initiative of actually wanting to hear from the constituents, because, I talked to Jerry Hicks it was a few months ago when I was trying to get him to call a special meeting about when all the mask mandates were happening. And he straight up told me that they heard from 18 people and that was enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot more people than 18 that pay taxes.
Well, Roxy, it goes back to
the Roberts Rule law. They can, the board has the option to settle on 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Well, they do 3. However, with open meeting laws, and this is even like in a Congress meeting, an individual citizen can actually donate their 3 minutes to another individual citizen. And that's what actually happened at November the 9th meeting. A constituent in District C was speaking, and another
they wouldn't
citizen
allow it.
stood up and donated her time. And if y'all watch the video, they actually restarted her
present.
time because she donated her time, which is in Scotty Wagner's district.
Right.
Well, the attorney started whispering in Jerry Hicks's ear, and well, then he interrupts her. And she said, well, she donated her time to me. He said, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Well, then I guess that didn't settle well with the attorney. So then they went ahead and canceled it. And I talked to Scotty that night to ask him, because that was his constituent, why didn't he motion that to allow her to finish her time that was already donated to her? And, his response was he didn't think of that. He didn't think about it.
But the job duty is to be knowledgeable of the laws, the requirements, the accountability. That's in his job description. That's in his policy that he's.
Roxy, do you think he's telling you the truth, or do you think he's just gaslighting you?
Do what now?
Do you think he was telling you the truth, that he didn't just think of it, or you think he was just gaslighting you?
Honestly, I think he was telling me the truth. I honestly do.
You're too kind.
Huh?
You're too kind.
Well, I told you, I give people benefit of the doubt, but honestly, on that spectrum, I do. I really think that maybe he didn't think about it. However, again, that sends off red flags in my opinion, because if you're on that board, you are there in order to make sure that you're a backbone and to let the public, especially in your district that voted you in order for their voices to be heard. So if you don't think about the people who voted you in that are trying to speak, and you do not allow them to speak, and then you do not voice your opinion or emotion in order to allow that donated time to go forward, that's a weak representative.
Well, Roxy, I'm going to ask you a question. Scotty owns his own business, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if he has a customer that is trying to do something, if he's not considerate to that customer, you think that customer is going to continue to do business with him. And here's the reason why I ask you that question. He's a business person. Evidently, he's somewhat successful because he's still got a business after however many years he's been in business. So if he is taking care of his customers, don't you think he already knows that aspect whenever he sits on a board, that his customers are now the parents underneath a school board member? So you always represent your constituents, the parents in
Right,
your
and this is
district.
my personal opinion about that. You're right. He is very successful with his business.
Okay.
He is very business equipped. However, through the lengthy conversations that me and him have, I can't even tell you how many times that we've talked. So when he ran for the board and everything, he said that he had so much initiative and drive in order to get in there and change things, etc. Well, then when he got on the board, he said that, he couldn't. He can't because of this or because of that. And then after having conversations with him, and actually an employee, we went and had breakfast because she has been like blackballed every which way. And I said, well, look, your school board member, Scotty Wagner, we'll go set a meeting. So we went to go eat breakfast and try to get some help for her. And I actually had to interrupt him because this employee was being talked over. She was almost done eating, and he was really campaigning her, talking about how much money he funded to the Trump campaign, going all the way around the wall. And I was like, Scotty, she's here to try to get help, and she's almost done with her plate, and she hasn't even said anything. Well, then it went off road from there, and I blankly asked him, I said, so if you would have motioned, and I really can't remember what that meeting was about when I was talking about motion, but he didn't motion on something. I said, so if you motion, even though you said that you're in support of what we're doing, what would actually happen? And he tells us that in reality, probably nothing. I said, so is this more of trying to keep your political reputation? Mm-hmm. And, he kind of shook his head and was like, well, yeah. So in my honest opinion, I feel like maybe he ran for the school board in order for a trial run in the political field. Yeah. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Well, and if you notice, he's got ties with now Representative Foy Gadbury, which his other half is Bill Cassidy's, assistant. But Roxy, let me say this real quick. Scotty was the only board member the day that the vaccines were hammered in that board meeting. You remember? And what did he say? I will not support. Right. I will fight this for parents. He even went on record with the news media. An article was written about it. How many weeks ago was the the Oversight Health Committee hearing? Where is his public statement of his plan to protect the students and to ensure the parents that in Ouachita Parish, he's already got a plan. He's already going to bring this forward. Yeah. And Roxy, do you think he's capable of doing something like that when he has no powers to be because of the EBBI policy or therein a lack of? The board members have no authority over anything right now. So how can he make such a bold statement? And where are the constituents holding him to his claim that he's going to protect them?
They're right here in this room.
Well, and in my honest opinion, just based off of our conversations and stuff, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, I believe that he's very vocal in where he stands, but when it comes down to actually fighting, he's not, along with the other board members. And the reason why I say this is because his son is in the Army. And which is awesome. Well, there was some kind of confliction because that they were having this mandatory vaccination, and however, in my parental opinion, you never stop fighting for your children. So his son was conflicted about the vaccination, but then again, he went ahead and he wanted to take it because he wanted to serve, which is awesome. I salute all of the people who are serving. However, and maybe it's just a mama bear thing. When my daughter becomes of an age of where she can make her valid decision, but she's making a decision in order to keep a job title, in order, just to kind of comply with it. Well, that's when Mama Bear is just going to jump up and I'm going to fight for my kid. So if he's not doing that. So if he can't fight for his own kid, I do not foresee him fighting for the community's kid.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, that's a good
Drop
Certainly a
mic.
mic.
We just dropped the mic there. You did. All right, that's a good point, Roxy. And kind of jumping on that with this, with some of the points that you were just making, Aaron's going to cover a couple of things that he wanted to cover. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, well, first of all, did y'all know that the Ouachita Parish School Board owns 175 pieces of property
Unbelievable.
in
No.
the parish?
But we own that.
Well, we own it, but
Right.
they get
They
to
control
decide
it.
what to do with it.
They sell it. They do whatever.
175 pieces of property.
How's
Just
that
go to
even
the
legal?
Ouachita Parish Tax Assessor and look up under name, under business name, last name, put Ouachita Parish School Board. You'll pull up 175 pieces of property. Of course, some of the property is the actual campuses, but
Well, they
there
own
are
hunting properties where they lease out. They let people hunt.
There's single family homes.
Scotty's
How are they
over
able
that,
to
isn't
buy
he?
these?
Why do they have single family homes on Slack Street, on Travis Street? It looks like they're trying to buy up the whole area
That's
around
even,
the school board.
That's even crazier after what's
Um,
going on. Everything else is going on.
But
Now
just
they have
just
all
look
the
that
property.
up.
I
Yeah,
mean,
just look that
Well,
up.
I think there's a thing with that. They need to expand West Monroe High School, and there is no room for any expansion in that area. So around that school board,
I'd be interested to see when they bought those properties too. And
I
when,
mean, they
what-
just sold some property that they've had for years
They
at
sold
the
that
last
property.
school board meeting, and it was injunction to the levy system. So they sold it to the levy board.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
the more we find out about what we own as citizens through the public that we have no control over, we can't even walk on the premises of the public schools anymore.
yeah, and I don't know what they're doing with the single family homes that they haven't converted into part of the campus yet. I mean, are those being rented out?
I'm
Are they
sure.
just sitting there?
I know churches
being
will do the same
dilapidated?
thing, and so they'll keep renting it out until they get all of that property. Then they'll go in and bulldoze it all down.
could it
and
also be a
build condos
possibility?
there,
Is this
so.
like out of the norm thinking that with the
build a
redistricting and
healthcare
also
system to shot our
the
kids up?
the policy that they just adopted last meeting about like other farmable, shoe-drent, like you can have families move in and like not live in the district, but they can attend a school in the district.
Yeah,
Could
'cause that
those
used to be a big
possibly
no-no.
Could those
For
could those
athletes-
properties
athletes,
possibly
maybe?
For
be
athletes, or-
used to house these families that don't necessarily reside but don't have transportation to get their families to and
Quote
from?
unquote.
We need to find out. That's a great thing.
So
Are
they- I'm just
saying.
Are they
So,
living
so
there?
Johnny
Yeah,
that
it's a good
is pro
question.
quarterback, going pro
There's a
quarterback,
handful of- there's a
Saying.
lot
I'll go by
of-
and look by there and see what's
is
in there.
living at 919 Slack Street, but nobody lives there.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Oh,
goodness.
yeah.
he's from Farmable, but he's a great football player. He
Right.
plays.
Whose name is the
You
water
know,
bill in?
Or even then, Delhi. I mean,
We can't put anything past them now because
Yeah, well, they're all about their state title or
it's
whatever.
all about sports. It's all
Yeah.
about football.
While you are speaking about that with the sports, I'm all for sports. However, the priorities is just not set right. And this is what really irks me is they have the time to inspect, the scoreboards, the lighting, the turf, the bleachers. However, when you have cafeteria ladies who doesn't have a working oven,
That's right.
or the custodian has a lack of cleaning supplies,
or you have
steamers,
mold growing in the
something
classrooms.
that is very valuable in order to make these employees their life a little smoother and actually to benefit these kids in a nutritionist way. that's overlooked because, that's not in the budget. However, it's always in the budget to make sure that these football fields are immaculate. So that really rubs me the wrong way. If there's enough budget to drop $65,000 on bleachers, but there's not enough budget to make sure that these kids are getting a hot prepped meal.
Well, they can
Clean
buy
water.
ice machines for the field house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not understand that. And I also do not understand how Ouachita Parish school system, y'all do realize that they made like $246 million in revenue of sale taxes. So there's money. There's so much money.
Where did
There's
that
so
money
much
come from?
Huh?
How did they profit that kind of money?
I'm still investigating that as well. But when we found out that the Ouachita Parish school system is incorporated along with, the 48 other businesses and stuff, you can go on dmb.com.
Who's the CEO overseer of that?
Do what?
Who's the CEO or the overseer of that? Is that
Don
Coker?
Okay, yes.
He's the
so Ouachita
custodian
Parish school
of-
system, the key principal is
No wonder
Don
he makes
Coker.
$300,000 a year.
The
He's running a
Ouachita
major
Parish
corporation.
School board key principal is Jerry Hicks.
Correct. So Don Coker
Go on
is the
dmb.com. You can see
he's
what
the
their
parent.
revenue was.
He's the CEO. And that's why we don't have a say, y'all. I hope y'all really
Oh,
like
yeah.
a lot of people don't understand whenever you incorporate into a business. If you're not on that payroll or a committee or a representative,
Can I explain that to the people real quick? Okay, so incorporation, United States was incorporated in what, 1780?
What was it?
No, 1890, 1888 or something. The United States was incorporated. That's whenever the president and
1896
the
maybe? 86?
I went
86.
went over to Europe. We were bankrupt.
And something happened again.
We went to Europe
it was
and we said, hey, we're bankrupt. And so they went to the Vatican and said, we're bankrupt. And the Vatican said, okay, this is what you'll do. You will pay us taxes indefinitely. We will give you the money. We'll make sure you're okay. But basically, every citizen in America will be an item in our store. And they'll always pay us. That's why you got central banks. It's not the Federal Reserve is a centralized world banking system. And so we feed into that. It's controlled. The Vatican has trillions of dollars. They have gold. They have all kind of things. But to narrow it down, so in 1880 whatever, the deal was made. America became incorporated. When you see the United States of America flag and you see the gold ribbon hanging down, the only thing that gold ribbon means is that it's bought and paid for. It's a corporation. That's it. And so whenever you see that, that's what the representation is. So we're a business now, the United States. And why is Washington, D.C. not a state? Because it is a District of Columbia. District of Columbia, which was from the English Empire. Whenever the president went over in 1880, 86, or that time frame, it was between Europe, District of Columbia, and the Vatican made the deal. So the corporation of America is only 10 by 10 square miles, and that's Washington, D.C. Why was it whenever January 6th took place and they went in and the Army fortified they only fortified the 10 by 10 square miles of Washington, D.C. The White House, the Treasury Department, they fortified that area because that's the only thing in the corporation that they control. What is Joe Biden? Joe Biden is the president, the CEO of the corporation of America. Everybody else, most everybody else, even Democrats now, still view Donald Trump as the sitting president. Is he? Who knows?
who knows?
That's up to the military. At any time, if we get a general to rise up and go against the corporation
That's right.
of America
That's right.
and to come back and give it to we the people, because that's what Donald Trump was doing. He was returning the United States back to we the people. So then you take that full circle. Well, the school board is the same thing now. So it's an incorporated, it's a business.
Mhm.
And so every student is now an item in that store.
Mhm.
And so that's why a student used to be pre-COVID $3,000 roughly, $2,400, $3,000. That's what they were worth to the store of the corporation of the school board sector, of the public school sector. Post-COVID, now we're COVID, they're worth anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 per student. So whenever you remove your student from that store, it removes that $8,000 to $12,000. So you're removing the profit from the store. So you basically, this is what ticks off the school board, and that while Louisiana is kind of in a frantic right now, because you have thousands of kids that has pulled out, and you multiply that 8,000 to 12,000 per student, and so you're bankrupting the system. Well, right now they don't care so much because the federal government, the incorporated United States of America, is feeding money from the Vatican into the system. And so it's all one big corporation, and they're all funneling each other. But at some point in time, it becomes bankrupt.
That's right. That would the United States has been in bankruptcy, I think, 3 times. Or is that, okay. So listen to this. If you get a chance at home, you listen to this. You want to dig into something. Dig into War Castle's Russell J. Gold. Okay, listen to this real quick. I just want to read this little excerpt right here. Okay. All right. Let's just start here.
And don't take my word on that. Go do the research.
That's right,
It's
you gotta
there.
do
Go find the original Constitution, find the 1880 whatever Constitution, and you're going to see they changed the verbiage of one word. It was of the people to for the people. It was one word. It was the and one other, and that changed everything
right.
in history.
And then, okay, David Wine Miller, Russell J. Gold, has essentially they essentially averted the takeover of the U.S. by the British Crown at the time of the third bankruptcy from 1929, anticipated to end on the 2nd of November in 1999, with a date of 12 September marking the 45-day lame duck time frame by intervening at the right time. Close to the end, on the 12th of August 1999, the filing title of copyright and statement of ownership, Title IV American flag, written in correct syntax, quantum grammar, and the United Nations and the U.S. Post Office as a corporation claiming that the land contract during the time of negotiation. Okay? So the United States failed to produce such copyright, succeeding in a lawsuit on purpose on the 25th of January 1999. This guy caught this. We are about to be property of Britain in 1999. Nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever reports it. The mainstream media will never went over it. It's something to really dig into. And what they've done is, and kind of how they're around this, and this goes back to the law too, how they've gone from admiralty law and maritime law, okay? And what has happened is, like with their lawfare that they do with these, I hate to say this because I got attorneys that I like and stuff like that, but they have been the worst thing for this country that you can possibly imagine, because they break the law to bend the law, okay?
And to reform the law.
And to reform the law. So by doing what they do in the court of law, and they call it lawfare, okay, they spin things out, they drag things on. You can bankrupt somebody, Bush, by taking them to court. They've completely manipulated the law on this. And what we need to get back to, I keep always talking about, we need to go back to the Constitution, because it saves it saves us every time. But people don't understand the Constitution. They don't understand how the law works. Okay, and do you know that when you cross the bench in a court of law, do you know that you're walking on to a ship deck? Did you know that? That's why I look into war castles. We are under Admiralty maritime law.
Yeah.
When you cross
Makes
that, may I
sense.
approach the bench? You walk on that. That is an old British maritime law. Okay. When they put your foot on your birth certificate with your social security number, you are property of Washington, D.C.
That's right. You're right.
Nobody knows that.
You're exactly right.
There's a reason why your name is in capital letters. You are incorporated.
That's right.
You are worth your tax ID. There is ways, and people are doing it, and they've been doing it, and you don't hear about it, but you can separate yourself from that system.
That's right.
And there's a legal grammar to do it, and the verb, they've even distorted our language, like our physical English language. They've distorted it so much that that's how they do it in a lawfare. So you figure out how to get back to the original language and what these words mean. You know how they change words all the time.
Look
you
at our
have-
curriculum.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
check curriculum or vaccine.
That's right.
They just changed the word
The
vaccine.
definition.
How people need to wake up.
Well, and that's why, getting back to Trump, and I don't know where Trump stands in all of this, but that's why a year ago, or actually 2 years ago now, July of 2020, July 4th actually, he was putting in, and he brought in, was bringing in, I guess it would have been a presidential, what do they call
Executive
it?
order.
Executive order.
They're in
He was
place
trying
right
to
now.
bring in law to give it back to we the people, to remove us from the corporation.
To the
He was
general
trying to
constitution.
bankrupt the corporation
Right.
of the United States.
He may have done it.
He may have.
Yep. He may
but
have done it.
everything is so.
Well, this is what the deal is. Okay, all that may have happened. Okay, and it
And
probably
I hope it
did
did
happen.
We need
because
it to
because
happen.
of these extra order, it did happen,
Well-
right?
well, go back and look at
But if you
Jan-
don't have the people's mind, and you can have the media and do this, they can do whatever they want
Well,
to do.
if the media will go look, and I don't know if y'all have done it, go back and look. Between January and February, there was a blackout in the Vatican. It was all over the news. There was a blackout.
Right.
U.S. troops
Yep.
were on the ground.
Yes, they were.
They went into the Vatican. What for? For about 4 hours, it was shut down. They showed it on TV, police and everybody.
seized
Even the
millions of
policing
documents.
for the
They-
Vatican
That's right.
could not. They had to fortify
That's right.
our troops being in.
Yep.
The saying is, we went in there and we got trillions of dollars in gold
Yep.
that has been there
Stolen.
for hundreds of years
Stolen.
that we've brought back. I don't know if it went with. We don't know if it went to Frankfurt,
Right.
Germany,
Mhm.
but it was removed, and that was about the same time you started seeing a lot of funny things with the Pope.
That's right.
And he went missing, and was
right.
he arrested? Was he whatever?
Well, you see what he did, the Pope just happened. What the Pope just announced, right?
Right,
He's,
what?
he's announced that he's about to die.
Really?
He's announced that he's about to die.
But right
He's
after
announced
that,
he's about, hey y'all.
Yeah. Well, he's announced that he's
well-
got a certain term to live, and he will be resigning before because he knows he's got a health condition, so he's going to be stepping down next year. Does that sound right? Next year?
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, over in
He's not supposed.
Germany?
Why have these popes been resigning? They're not supposed to resign.
No, but
They're
this,
supposed
hey,
to serve till they die.
that's right.
Doesn't
And
they
it's
die
happened
in
recently a
office?
couple times. It's happened just
Yeah.
the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, you talk about executive orders. Okay, I'll tell you one that is, I know that is in effect. Okay, is the child trafficking executive order. Okay, when Trump made the executive order and went against child trafficking, do you guys remember he and through 2020, especially 2019, every other day you see 350 people busted.
Right here in America.
900,
Yeah.
900 children rescued out of Tennessee,
Yes,
300 and something children rescued out of Ohio. Bam, bam, bam. The CNN just the other day, the producer for Andrew Cuomo just got
Chris
busted,
Cuomo,
okay,
That's right.
for child trafficking, and you know what they did? They took his house, they took his car, they confiscated his bank account. That was a message to us that law, that executive order, is still in effect.
so Lance, and I know what I believe in this, but I want to
Okay.
see. Let's make it verbal. Let's go ahead and Spence will go. I know you'll want some of this. Do we have two presidents?
It's very possible. If you look, I know it sounds crazy, but if you look at how the law is designed out and you see what Washington D.C. actually is,
What if Trump is the puppeteer even over Biden?
it's very possible.
Let's make it as bad as we can, because I was telling them for so many years,
Okay.
4 years, I was telling them what would happen if, and so let's give them, what if God is letting all of
Well,
this?
that's like what we're saying. You have to walk through the darkness to see the light. This all had to happen at some point for people to wake up. What was it going to take? Okay, it wasn't going to take. They can't have a mass World War III and everybody kill everybody. What's that leave? Nobody. Okay, everybody kills everybody.
You-
So you have to have some kind of event, and you have to. Okay, if Trump would have stayed in, if Trump would have pulled the card, which he had every responsibility to do,
He
pull
was
the card
president. He could-
and cancel the election, because we all know what happened, right? If he would have done that, you would have been so much violence in this country and so much destruction in this country against
That's why he
American on
kept
American
saying we have to do it exactly by the law.
by the law, and that's what's happening
And
right
the,
now.
what has to happen is military has to step in.
But what's it been exposing the whole time? They've been taking all these cases to court, and what are we finding out? These judges are corrupt. This judge is corrupt. This judge is corrupt. The
But we're
Supreme
starting to
Court's
see
corrupt.
people fall out.
That's right. Okay, have you been following the resignations that I've been posting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean,
All right.
so you got
take it back to the beginning of 2020. Okay, CEOs, presidents. How many people just admitted that they're not going to run for Congress next year? Okay, I don't know. Was it 70?
Yeah.
So 70
Yeah.
something have been saying they're not going to run.
Yeah.
Okay, something is going on.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, Epstein, Chris Wallace has left Fox News.
False,
He
Brian.
he
Brian
was
Williams?
on.
Chris Wallace.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was on
These
the
people,
boat.
these people, okay, have been committing crimes for a long time, and it is factual information that probably, I don't say the amount, but it's north of 60% of the mainstream talking heads are CIA. They work for the governments. It's propaganda. That's what Aaron brought that up last time we had. The propaganda is so thick. This is why they're freaking out. You see so much panic. You know why? Because the everyday, normal day American is not tuning into those. They're tuning into alternative media because they want fact. They are yearning for facts and information right now. People are. People want to know the
That's
truth.
why we're staying consistent with the people that's following us right
Yeah,
now.
we got-
and that's good.
We got 8
It's
people
been-
watching.
it's
That's
been
as
the
many
same.
people as watching CNN at any given time.
You're right.
But
You're
this
right.
is true stuff.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get this on
No, you're
CNN.
not.
So
This is true
let
stuff
me
that's happening.
reiterate something.
Okay.
The first step for the people to locally take this down is filing the complaint to the bond insurer.
Is there
okay?
something going to be on the website?
Yes,
where
we
they
can
can-
work on that this weekend. But most importantly, they need to get with me so I can walk them through. I can help advocate for them.
Okay.
Any taxpayer can file the complaint,
That's right.
and your dollar amount is up to you
to
with
you.
whatever your damage is
That's right.
that you believe that you have endured. It's up to you, Mike. And so, again, let me just say this. Two things are going to happen.
You and then Roxy wants to say something.
Either you're going to get a payout, compensation for your damages, okay? Or you're not going to be compensated and they are going to possibly lose their bonds, and then you have to take it to federal court, okay? You don't need an attorney to do that. I'm working with people all over the country right now to where you're not going to need anybody but yourself. And what has Lance been saying for the past 20 minutes is that we've got to learn the Constitution, and we have hundreds upon hundreds of people learning the Constitution. We have Tori Email in our state, y'all. I don't
Yes.
know if y'all follow
We
her,
have
but my God,
Constitution
she
of
is
States and all
brilliant.
those guys.
She is.
She is brilliant.
What do they call it? Por se? What's it called when
Convention.
they
Convention
when they
of
represent
States,
themselves?
that's
It's called por se, or it's
Yeah,
the word
per
per se.
yeah, it is. It is
it
per se. Yeah.
When you
Pro bono
Per se.
per se,
No,
I think
it is
what
per
is.
se.
And the what people understand is that the judges give you all the leeway. Okay.
Yeah.
You
Because you don't know.
you don't know, and you have to lay it out by the law. You lay it out by the law. That's what people don't understand. Go back to the Constitution. The Constitution was there for a reason. Our forefathers saw this happening.
That's why it's the law of the
Everything.
land.
Are y'all ready
Yeah,
for
let's
this?
hear it.
Your sheriff is bonded.
Yes.
Any public elected official, your representatives, your senator, your
Well,
The
governor,
governor too, huh?
your governor, you guys, your
So everybody
governor.
who
I
lost
like
their
that one.
businesses, everybody whose child committed
Any
suicide,
taxpayer.
Sue him.
everybody
Any
who
taxpayer.
relapsed and,
And again,
overdosed and died.
just like Tori's been saying for months, it's not necessarily that we win the complaints
But it's on
or we
record.
win in federal
It's just
court.
getting a bunch of
This is a
complaints on it.
documented paper trail that will never not hang with these
That's right.
people.
That's
Okay, whether they want to seek public office or
That's right.
or whatever.
That's Well, see, what we're doing here with the security bonds, this goes around the local courts. It goes around the local courts.
Yes, this is going to be
That's right.
a civil.
That's right.
I think there's
Well,
like
they
3
have-
tiers. This is going to civil. This
right.
is like
Every
Federal-
one of them flat
This is
out.
good stuff.
this isn't
Really
municipality
good.
court
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Monroe
No.
City
I'm about to say
Court
something.
or
They all
Westminster
flat out
City. This is the
ignored
big.
what their constituents
big
were
thing.
telling them.
That's
I
right.
mean, we showed up and clearly told them.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was on the news. There was people all up and down the streets with signs. They were clearly being told what they were asked to do by the people who put them in office, and they said, nah.
And if the board members do heed any legal advice
going to.
from their attorney about
Well, they made their attorney, but they-
rejecting these bond claims or anything, I mean, that attorney could also have complaints to his bar, like a bar grievance, or because he is advising outside the bounds of law. So his advice has to be backed by law,
you know,
not the opinion, not his opinion of the law, like
If-
what it says.
it's very interesting to me that how long have we been in conversation with these board members, Roxy and y'all and us combating this 6 months now,
August,
and so,
September.
but none of them are learning their jobs.
That's August.
None of them are still learning their jobs.
Yeah.
They
all just
they show
clueless.
up and they're still as ignorant
Let,
as
let
they
Roxy
were 6
tell you
months
why.
ago.
Let Roxy tell you why. Roxy, how many people are about to be unable to run for their board seat?
We know something.
Tell us about the terms. Tell us about the terms. How long has Jerry Hicks been in his seat
Oh,
as
yeah,
president?
This is his last 15 years.
Okay.
They have a term limit of 12 years.
Or, yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's four.
And
I
we
gotta
can
get
change
my
that.
book.
It's 3 or 4 consecutive 4-year terms. Is that right? 4-4-year terms.
You know what's funny? Is that's what is so corrupt about our Congress and our Senate right now. Is they got these life terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can do 2 4-year consecutive terms or 3 4-year terms. So they can
Total,
do
you take
up
the
to
time
12,
off.
total 12 years, but they can't be
But
consistent.
they keep rotating out their.
They do. And it's a system. I'm telling y'all, all of the stuff,
That's why I believe Scotty's
listen.
next
Are
in
y'all
line
ready?
for
I'm sorry, I
president.
just
yes,
got my book.
all
the
of
school
this
board.
stuff was brought to the attention of Coker, and then the superintendent before him, which was Weber. The superintendent before him was,
Yeah.
this was brought to the attention of all of this was brought to the attention of every single one of them in hopes that they would stop it. They would stop the fraud. They would stop the siphoning of monies. That they would stop the abuse upon the educators. That they would stop the curriculum crap that our kids have been indoctrinated with. And they step into it because they've worked themselves up into
Well,
the system,
Scotty
and they've done
believes-
nothing
I believe
That's why
about
they probably
it.
got elected.
They've done nothing about it.
No,
and
not only have they
knowing-
done nothing about it, they've joined it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Exactly.
They get in on it. They go in with good intentions. I believe Scotty went in with the best of intentions.
Sure.
But then he got there and he got bedazzled.
That's right. It's like,
Yeah.
dang.
Back doors and all this kind of stuff. And
And if he
clubs
wasn't
and-
bedazzled and he realized I can't do anything, what is the virtuous thing to do? What is the honorable
Get
thing
out.
to do?
Hand it off.
Say,
Close it, step
just
down.
like, I had mixed feelings about that lady that stepped down out of that school board seat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had mixed feelings because one, she could have stayed and exposed it all. But then she would be liable because she's still there.
So what?
So,
Do it.
but then she removed herself so that she could remove the liabilities upon her
Is
person,
that the
so
one
that she
Kimberly
could really.
Powers just went into? Is that the one
No.
Kimberly, I
This
believe,
is
is
a
going to be
different one.
outstanding down in Central.
She's already.
I mean, she's
proven
already
herself.
hitting it.
Yes.
Good.
And we
Are,
need,
are
we
y'all
need
ready
a lot of
for
Kimberly.
the
Yeah.
terms, like the years that these people have been on here?
Yes.
Okay, so for District D, which is Jerry Hicks, which is the president, he was first elected to the board in 1994.
Right.
He filed to run for election in November the 4th, and he was unopposed. And then he was reelected without opposition of August the 22nd of 2014.
Good.
District G, Greg Mangley, which is the vice president, served on the board from 1995 to 2005, and then he moved out of the state. Once he came back, he ran for the November the 4th, and he got reelected in 2014. Tommy Como, District A, was elected in general election on November the 4th of 2014. Now, District E was originally for John Russell. He was first elected into 1982 and won re-election in November the 4th of 2014. Unfortunately, he got sick and he passed away. That's when the board members appointed Harold McCoy, and he took office January the 6th of 2020. So he is actually an interim that is filling in for John Russell for District E. Harold McCoy actually served as a board member for Monroe City Schools for 14 years prior to that. Now, Cherie May, Scotty Wagner, and DeBoe Graves, they all three got sworn in January the 15th of 2019.
Yeah. All right. What did you want to cover? There was something you were wanting to cover.
Oh, yes, because I have got to go to bed. So, I am so tired.
I can't leave without an escort either. Go ahead.
You're the last
earlier
statement.
when I touched bases about the curriculum, about the sexualization books that are already in the libraries and sprinkled out through the curriculum right now, I just wanted to go ahead and let y'all know, and I have screenshots of me and Jack Clampett talking. So apparently that has sparked an interest for Jack Clampett to the point that he actually resigned from his position on the Ouachita Parish Library Board because
We need him off the police jury.
Do what?
We need him off the police jury.
What is it? They're all starting to resign.
According
Isn't
to
that what you
our
just said?
conversation earlier today, he said that he was going to dive in after the first of the year about the sexualization books that are in our schools. I don't know if he really resigned. That's just what he has told me, and I have screenshots. But if a Ouachita Parish police juror is having red flags about what is being taught to our children, that to the point he resigns his position off of the library board, I just thought maybe people would want to know that. Just to show how alarming, and it's time for people to wake up.
Especially for Jack Clampett, because he's
he's part of the system, from what I'm hearing.
yeah. It's
That's what I'm
time
hearing.
for Jack Clampett to resign from every position.
What,
But
Roxy,
that
we need
does-
to have our own news, like media,
That's what
like
Absolutely.
for you to bring forth the
Bring
true
breaking news by
breaking
Roxy.
news
You
by
sound
Roxy.
professional delivering
Yeah,
it.
you're doing
We're,
great.
we're gonna
totally.
get you a blog set up on our website,
No,
girl.
we need to get you press passes and
Yes.
all of that.
Yes.
Hey, y'all, I mean, you can ask Tiffany.
Investigative
I feel like I'm a
reporter.
hoarder of paperwork because I have so much information, and it's so much that I would love to share it with everybody, like in one day, but it's impossible.
It
It's
would
just
take
impossible.
a week. She's got a huge binder. She's got
Let's see.
an accordion thing. She's got another binder that says Ouachita Parish Board. I mean, she's got the
Nice.
policies
That's what I'm
from their
talking about,
site
girl. That
printed
is
out.
Good job, right? Hey,
Thank you so much, Rox. That's
Louisiana Constitutional Regiment,
Lacer
Lacer.
coming to you,
Coming to you.
2022.
Fired up, man. It's gonna be great. It's gonna
Yeah.
be great. We're bringing the people together. We're bringing families together. Is what we're doing.
That's
This
what it
this is
is.
the family. This is the wives and the kids.
I'm ready to bring
All of them.
This is good.
to bring
A
in
community.
the revival.
That's it. And this is the start.
Possibly the True Church meeting.
Maybe.
Quite
That's how we
We can
started.
have
The
it
Reformed
right here.
Church of Revelation.
Hey,
Be
who,
like a real community.
who led
That would be awesome.
who led the army during the Civil War? Who led them into battle? The
Preachers,
pastors,
yeah.
the preachers. They said, grab your musket and your horse. We're going to battle after
Well,
service.
I can tell everybody, y'all better be. Here's what your Christmas gift should be. If you have dirty Santa Claus parties and all this stuff, it better be canned goods and it better be firearms and bullets.
And ammunition,
point.
that's right.
It better be,
That's a good point.
It's 10, bro.
because you're gonna want to have it because that's
right.
gonna be your power.
That's it.
That and the Word of God. You get me anything, Bible, bullets.
Bible and bullets, baby.
That's awesome.
Ouachita Parish, we appreciate you. Thank you for the ones that have stayed faithful. I'm sure I'll be hearing from you in just a little bit. And let everybody know that's here tonight. Let them know what you think and what your thoughts on with this. We
And
won't
share
be
this.
back next week. We will come back in January, and we're going to bring. January is going to be a little bit different because I plan on we're going to get down and we're going to do some Bible study, and we're going to bring revelations to you, what's happening as it unfolds according to world and the Bible, as things are taking place, so that knowledge is power.
Yeah, that's it.
So we got to be awake, we got to get prepared, and we got to be ready. And I'm not even opposed. Let's bring in some prayer meetings. Let's meet.
Please, yes.
Get with
Every second Monday.
yes.
Every second Monday at 6:45, 6:30.
What about the Bible study
Every-
Friday, too?
every
Hey,
second.
he's about to start. He's starting Revelation during that Bible
So
study.
every second Monday at what time? 6:45. Get with me or Tiffany. Location. We're not going to give it out on air, but we'll let you know location. And this is for all Ouachita Parish. You want to know what's going on. You want to meet.
You want to alert us of something or prepare for the school board meeting
This
the
is going to be
following
like
day.
like once a month town hall type meetings, and we'll come in, and as it grows, if we need to do concessions and those kind of things, we'll make a way. Prayer meetings, we'll do it. We'll orchestrate it. If it turns out to be a congregational where we need to, pray and do those kind of things, we're all for that. You know what? This is about the bride of Christ. That's what I'm in it for. Yes, I believe in parents' choice. I believe in men and rights choices to freedom. But the ultimate freedom was set by Jesus Christ. And if we remove him, then you won't have no freedom. And that's what's happening. Ouachita Parish, we love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you. We'll be in touch, but we'll see you back in January.